hitting me up like, yo, you gonna do
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Phil Porto, aka Phil All Caps, and the Knicks Nightcap, chilling with my guy, Mr. Apollo Reed, guard up Knicks, and we will be joined shortly by our guy Al from Harlem. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. We appreciate the support that you guys have shown all throughout the season. But we are here, Knicks fans. We have done it. Not the next year is our, next year is our year. Not the next year is our year speech that we've given ourselves for decades. Not what me and Apollo have had to come on and say season after season that next year's our year. At least we got this done. This is not the end of the season episode in April or May that I am used to. We are here in June and we have actually done it. Through the lottery disasters, through all the constant memes we've had to see online about the New York Knicks, through being the punchline of the NBA for years, and through every single person that has told us as Knicks fans that we'd never see this team win a championship. We have done it. Nobody can ever take this away from us. The New York Knicks are champions in our lifetime. And if you're watching this right now, you didn't just watch a team win a title. You watched 53 years of New York City pain, frustration, loyalty, belief, insanity finally pay off. So welcome to the Knicks Nightcap. We got a championship, and now it's time to talk about it. Apollo, how are you feeling? Because I know for me, it's like all day, every day is going to be Knicks attire, probably all throughout the summer. Unless I'm going to church. That's how I'm feeling right now. So how you doing, my guy?
Listen, bro, I already wear Knicks all the damn time. And it's already like getting ridiculous. So now I have a reason to do it, and I'm gonna be loud and boisterous about it. I'm getting more plates for my truck so I can, ride around and have that. I'm gonna have a little flag hanging out. But I'm feeling it hasn't hit me yet. I'm gonna be honest, it has not hit me yet, bro. I can't believe that we're ending a season and there's no disappointment. Like we're actually here. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this at all, bro. I just honestly, it's like an alternate reality in a way, it's just kind of like, damn, like we really did it. We really won. I'm sitting here, I'm watching all these videos and I just keep seeing Jalen Brunson hugging his dad. I'm like, yo, this really happened. This sugar honey iced tea really happened. And man, I'm ecstatic, man. I wish I could be there for the parade. I'm not gonna be able to be there, unfortunately. Last minute changes, and my wife is like, she's like, please just go, like even go by yourself. I'm like, nah, my kids at this point were there, they saw it happen, they want to be there, so I can't go and not bring them. So
no, I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. Like my attire is pretty much all day, every day Knick gear. Especially when it comes to the hats. But it's been crazy because like this season, I've met so many like really dope like New York, NYC content creators in the clothing space. And they've been mad supportive of, the show and what I do with my daily like Knicks fits for the game. And so they've blasted me with like a ton of merch. So now it's like, I got new stuff to be rocking all summer, like even more of a reason for me to be covered in New York Knicks gear from head to toe. But sometimes I have to realize like you're going out with your wife, like put something else on, so apologies to her because sometimes I don't get the memo. But like this right here, this is a company called Brooklyn Dreamer. I love when people like are creating content and clothing lines and fashion and everything for within our fan base. And this right here is Heat Check apparel that you guys have seen me wear all, playoff long. So, shout out to the local brands that are doing stuff. Shout out to the independent brands that are doing stuff. But before we go into our experiences of how that game was received and how we how we were able to pull it off, I do want to share two things. First, and yes, I see Prezzi's like, yo, but you can even wear a Knicks tie. Yes, there are many occasions that I probably shouldn't be repping the Knicks, but I still do. And this I have case in point. So I was hired by a mattress brand to do some photos and videos, and they sent us a mattress and paid me to do like the photo videos. And look at this. I even in the branding that I got paid to do, I had to wear my New York Knicks gear. Like, even when I'm getting paid money, like the Knicks are still going to be in the things that I'm getting paid to shoot. So that is, kind of a guilty pleasure for me right there. But the next thing I want to do is I want to pull up an image real quick, and then I want to bring somebody up because this is exciting times right here. And this was a little while ago, and this actually has changed since we hit that 10K earlier today, which is a massive blessing because we actually said that we wanted to end the season with a championship and with 10K. And we have surpassed that 10K as of today. So I want to bring up our guy, the guy who started this all, the guy that we all rock with, the guy that's been like, family to many of us. And he put in a lot of work for us to get to this point. Like, we know that, he considers this like a joint effort, and we appreciate that, but it started on his foundation. So without further ado, I want to bring up Mr. J friggin' Ellis.
Man, who let the dogs out? Who? Mike.
I love it.
What up, J. Ellis?
I love it.
I'm so happy right now.
Yeah.
And you don't even know, man. It's dog, like, if y'all just knew what the things I had to go through to get to this point. It's like, man, you start something, you help somebody else with something, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into building two platforms at the same time. Because I ain't have no life. Shout out to my mom and my sisters and everybody who saw me leave family events, not go to family events, postpone. Hey, Mother's Day is this day, but the game is there. Can I take you out on Monday? My mom was like, cool. You can take me. Our Mother's Day is Monday. Like, a lot of sacrifices from me, family members, girlfriend, all that to get to this point. People was like, yo, J. Ellis, you should give it up because it's not going anywhere. I've been told this multiple times. And I was like, no. Being sued, having to think about leaving this because personal things are happening. It's like, damn, do I leave KLT because I have financial problems? I might need to I was doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Yep. He was holding it down at one time. So to get to this point after all of that and to actually have a team that's stronger than ever than when I first started is a blessing. Like, I have no doubt that 20K is coming like way faster just because of what's in place. It's like ridiculous. It's kind of crazy. I'm a guy who writes things down that I want, and I have like a vision for my life. I have a vision for KOT, my life, and a bunch of other things at the same time. And when I tell you, by accident or not, I wrote all these stuff I need for KOT, and I'll look up and it's there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted multiple shows. I wanted a lighting guy. I wanted like even things that just fell into my lap by accident. Just I bought this person here for this, and then he happens to do something that I need that is like, yeah. So it's man, I'm enjoying this, and it coincides with the Knicks championship. So the timing is just so good. The timing is just perfect. I love it.
I love it. Jay, I appreciate you. As someone that's been doing it and having those same feelings, like you pour into something, kind of get burnt, you question what's the point of it? Do I keep doing it? Do I not? Like we've been there. And the fact that you continued and you gave it a place for other people to, continue as well. I'm just thankful for it. I'm thankful that, I look in the chat and people like my guy CT Pittman, who used to watch all of my shows, at the previous network before it burnt down, is now here, celebrating 70K 10K here over here. And you talk about the growth, and yeah, bro, like I sent that text to you guys, at like 7:45 while I was preparing for this show. And that was when we just hit 10K, and I'm looking now and we're at 10,013. The number just keeps rising, and so, I look at the last 28 days of us just really getting dedicated to what we were doing and really just building that chemistry within our network. And you got to say something to 784 people subscribing in the last 28 days, those numbers keep on going. We are going to get there. So yeah, no, I said 70K, my guy Prezzi's right. 70K is coming, AOP gunshots. It's coming. So I'm ecstatic, bro. I'm ecstatic to keep building with you. I'm ecstatic that my guys, that, trusted me, were able to be part of this network and now trust you as well. So I'm ecstatic, bro. It's just the beginning.
For real. And if this goes the way I envision it going, KOT is gonna be a monster, and the people who help run KOT are gonna be happy. If the way the vision I have for this thing goes the exact way I envision it, and I think it's like this is I think it's gonna get there. I really think it's gonna get there.
Yep. So shout out to every single person on this network that helped us get there. Shout out to Lee Escobedo. Shout out to B. Shout out to Ebony. Shout out to Fritz. Shout out to Ryan, Sir G Ryan. We got, Al up in the building. We got Ra. We got Paulo down there. Like this whole team has seriously brought something different. Each person has brought something unique and different to this network. And we couldn't have done it without each and every person, because each person has pushed us to be better, whether it's making our takes better, making our, writing better, making our look better, making our, just approach to content better. It takes a village, and that's exactly what it's been here. Not an ego trip on any certain person. We all rock together, and I'm really excited for that. So
yeah, man. And I just shout out to, giving you your flowers personally. Like when I started Guard Up Knicks, it was because I was sitting there listening to your podcast every day while I was at work. It was you and Ryan, and I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, yo, this is what it is, man. And to be here with you, hitting 10K,
people don't know. A lot of people don't know this. I think Apollo was our first actual interview.
That's
anybody before see like when we were on SoundCloud. Like he knew us when we was on SoundCloud. He knew us before we was even on YouTube. So for him to be here is kind of like
fire. That's fire, man. That's just how it. And then the year we win the championship too.
Come on, man.
Can't beat that.
Look at that. We got a super chat from our own. What up? Love you, bro.
What up, Lee?
All right. So, as we wait for Al, I'm going to give a little, few announcements. First, I want to thank everybody that's in the building right now. If you guys can, I know that there's other content going on and everything like that. It's, it's championship time. It's going to happen. But if you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching anywhere outside of YouTube, if you can head on over, hit that subscribe and like button there. That would be appreciated. We'd love to see you guys part of the KOT family. Shout out to those of you that I do already see in the building, like my guy Prezzy the Boss, my guy JT Riddick. Appreciate you always being in the building and supporting. My guy Fritz, the moderator of all moderators. We got Miss Nixon-ish in the building. She said, "Happy Tuesday, champs. Let's go." Like I said, CT Pittman's in the building. Appreciate you.
Shout out to my Charlotte family.
Leighton White, appreciate you. It's all that. Yo, CT, I gotta say this to you, bro. It's been a long time since you were a winner at one of our watch parties for that Jalen Brunson signed basketball. You still have not picked it up from my brother. So, CT, if you're listening to this, bro,
that's crazy.
You gotta pick that up, or it's gonna go in my whiskey room. All right.
I'm about to say I'll pick it up.
And they don't live far. You could pick it up, man. That's just
Yeah.
If you don't pick it up, I'll pick it up. I'm right there.
I've been patient for a while, CT. You know, it hasn't shown up in my whiskey room yet, but there is a limitation on my grace and my goodness. He said, I'm still waiting on that joint. Bro, hit me up. You know, like my brother said he hit you up about it a few times. So make sure you hit him up, pick that up. So shout out right here. Saddleberry, appreciate you being in the building. We are champions. I will say this real quick, guys. I screwed up on this episode. I have a brand that I'm really excited about today called Silverthorn Reserve. And I was talking to Drew, the guy who started it all, and I had talked to him about like the samples for the coat, you know, for Al and Apollo and the bottles, and he was totally cool with it. And then they had to wait for production on something, got it out to me. Did not realize that he did not have their addresses till today. So he'll be coming up on the show a little bit later, but these guys are going to drink something else. I'm going to sample through, but not spend a ton of time focusing on the brand until Drew gets here. But this is the brand that we will be showcasing today. This is Silverthorn Reserve. And the reason I'm excited about it, and I got to get these samples to these guys, is because we did Sagamore last week. And Drew Thorne, he was actually like the one who started Sagamore Spirits. He like built Sagamore Spirits for a decade, and one of the most recognizable whiskey brands in America. And he was their CEO, doing much of its growth in that 10 years. And then he decided he wanted to do something a little more craft, a little more intimate, and everything like that. So he left and started Silverthorn Reserve. And it's been banger after banger after banger. So I got to get the samples out to you guys. Appreciate more of you just coming in the chat nonstop. Judo Constant, appreciate you being in here. Machine Gun Esco, live and direct. He's talking about Mr. Lee Escobedo. And then we got right here, PMCG 9392. Not sure if I've seen that name right there. It says, congrats, guys. It feels real, but still unbelievable. Hope you enjoy. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring up Al real quick and we can get this thing started. What up, Al?
You're rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
What up, champs? How y'all doing, man?
What's good, bro? What's good?
Good, champ.
The thing is covering
Jay Ellis, man, made it to 10K, man.
Yeah, man.
Go, man.
10K, baby.
That's crazy, man. That
10K.
is a journey. That is an accomplishment. And I'm just so happy that I could be here to share it with you, man. For real.
Absolutely, man. Glad to share it with you guys, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm glad I'm allowed to be
excited to see you for the parade. We're going to get turned for a little bit and celebrate our guys. I know you can't get too turned. You got to get to work, but we're going to have fun with it, man. I can't wait to actually meet you in person, too.
Hell yeah. I got to make sure my bones are intact because Lee says he's going to give me the biggest hug. If y'all don't know, I'm 5'7". Lee is a 6 foot human. So
he's a big dude.
You know what's crazy? I would have thought the opposite. Not seeing you I would have never thought that.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought you was taller.
Nah, I'm 5'7". Lee's
it's crazy because I've seen Lee and hung out with Lee in person.
Yeah,
he does not look like the Lee that is sitting down on the show. And and I've met Jay Ellis too, and I always thought, you know, from here on up, I was like, oh, Jay's probably a tall dude, you know, like probably Hooper. And then him and I met, and I'm like, oh, he's only like an inch and a half taller than me. That's crazy. I would have never expected that.
Hooper, yes. Taller than you? I mean, a little, yes.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I love it. I love it. All right, y'all. So without further ado, I want to go into the moments of victory. The other night, we were all in different places. Oh, and speaking of the parade, y'all, there's a thing called super chats. And if y'all want to drop some of those, me and Apollo would not mind getting some flights to team up with the rest of the KOT family at the parade. We just need some super chats. So I know watching, you know, being on the episode of KOT a few nights ago when we won the championship, everyone was like on cloud 9 and just hitting that super chat like crazy. If y'all are still that happy about the championship, y'all can hit the super chats.
Hold on. I want to say something else too. If y'all really want to help them with the flight, I know you had like some QR code or some little thing that goes.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you something about YouTube. Man,
they be in your
They be
pockets.
taxing.
They be in the pockets. They be
What?
That's
That
crazy.
barcode at the top.
Son.
Y'all can buy us a coffee. Y'all could send it Apple Pay. I don't even really care.
They took a chunk of man.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So
crazy.
all right. So we were all in different places. All right. The most electrifying moment for all of us as a Knicks fan. Like, I know it. So before I go to everybody's, I don't want to talk about mine. I want to share mine because it was one of those moments where I didn't end up going to the watch parties or anything like that. Al held it down for the last one. I stayed home with my family, and this is what we were able to experience as a family. And it was seriously the greatest moment of my Knicks fandom. So I'm going to play this video real quick.
Oh, you muted. I don't know if it's because you connected your phone.
Oh, all right. So I'm going to play this video real quick, and then we'll go from there.
Yes! 5 seconds remaining. Box to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up. Yes! We won a championship! Yes! We are champions! Oh my gosh! We are champions! Oh my gosh! Oh my Yes! Oh my gosh!
So that was my moment with the boys and my wife. It was seriously the most memorable Knicks fandom moment for me ever. But my child is knocking on the door like crazy. So I'm going to throw it to Al real quick, let him give his, and then I will come back and talk about mine.
Oh, you muted Al.
Muted again. I was at the Tampa watch party, and it was absolutely insane there, man. It was lit. I have a video, but I can't get it to work for some reason. But I recorded it on my Ray-Bans. And man, when I tell you the bar erupted, so many hugs. During this time, like we did a bunch of watch parties, and we made some good friendships and stuff like that. So man, it was dope to see that. Like there was, older people, younger people. my my young stepdaughter, she's 10 years old. She doesn't really know sports like that. She's been coming because we obviously can't leave her alone in the house. So she's been coming with us to all the watch parties. And I swear to you, we got us a new Knicks fan. So it was dope. She was losing her mind when the Knicks won. I was losing my mind. I didn't cry. I thought I was going to cry, but I didn't end up crying. I had cried earlier that morning when I was on my walk. I text you guys. I was like, yo, I'm a mess right now. Because I was just envisioning us winning that night, to that same night. And so when we won, I was just happy. I was just bouncing off the walls, hugging people, hugging my girl. But I didn't cry. And then the next morning, when I started watching all like the videos and all the content that was made about us being champions, that's when I cried again. I cried like 3 times that morning. But yeah, it was an amazing feeling, man. So happy that we're finally champions. And like I spoke about on the Nick Life Crisis episode, it's just like as soon as the clock struck 0, it's like everything was different. Like that Knicks PTSD, you guys don't. I mean, you guys understand. I was gonna say you guys don't understand, but everyone that's watching and is on the panel right now definitely understands Nick PTSD. We've had years of just something always going wrong, and Ross said this on our show. He was just like, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for something not to go our way. I was waiting for that to start all over again. And that's how bad like it's been to be a Knicks fan. And for us to find, like, I couldn't get excited until it finally hit 0 and it was finally real. That's when I was like, oh man, I can't believe we're finally champions, man. I'm so excited. Had to get all the merch. I got the hat. I got the shirt. I'm still looking for more merch. They also said we set records on the merch. So shout out to all the Knicks fans. It's been a long time coming, man. Super, super excited. And now I can't wait for the parade.
I love it. I love it. Before I throw it to Apollo, you brought up the merch. There is a thing right here that says in the first 24 hours following their clinching win in Game 5, the Knicks set an all-time Fanatics merchandise record for any championship team ever across all sports. Within 24 hours, the Knicks set a record for all sports as Fanatics merch. That's crazy.
Insane.
And, for a lot of people that think that, the NBA is not better when the Knicks are, a good team, check this out. Game 5, which saw the Knicks capture their first NBA championship in 53 years, averaged 24.5 million viewers and peaked at 33 million viewers at 11:15 p.m., marking the most watched NBA Finals Game 5 since 1998. So all those teams that y'all thought, were so much more impressive and so much better, the LeBrons, the Steph Curry seasons and all that stuff, our team, that Game 5, had more viewers than any of those by a long shot. And so that's pretty stinking incredible and pretty friggin' awesome to watch and see what's happening with our Knicks. Shout out to Colander 05. We are champions. So damn good. Congrats on 10K. First saw Jay Ellis on the other channel. Followed him right over to the KOT right here. Appreciate you so much for that generous super chat. Thank you so much. Leah Potato said, Phil was born to be a dad. Honestly, that's the greatest joy in my life. Like, my family is my greatest joy. And that's why it made this moment so much better, because I've been a Knicks fan for, 34 years. And that moment right there with my kids actually being fans in the season that my wife actually became a fan, not just watching it because I watched it, but actually loving watching it herself. That made it the greatest moment that I've ever had as a Knicks fan. I'm going to play this video and throw it to Apollo because this was his moment. And it's great because you can hear the confidence in Apollo, like someone on the court saying, oh, this is what's going to happen real quick. And then it actually happens. So here we go. And one thing I'll say real quick is one thing I haven't worked with Apollo yet is his camera skills. All right. So
listen, bro, I didn't even think I was going to be able to record. I told my wife, I'm like, this is going to be a terrible video. Please record your own, please. I still got to get the one from her.
So ignore that. Like, don't come at the cameraman after watching this. All right. It reminded me of my grandmother in the birthday video she used to record back in the day. So here we go.
Go, come on. That's it. Let him shoot it. Game over. Yeah!
Let him shoot it. Game over.
Let's go.
You know it's Scott report.
I don't know what's happening there.
Your camera going crazy.
I forgot I had the camera in my hand, bro. I had the camera in my hand, bro.
That's like OG when
OG went live.
He was like, how do I turn this off? How do I turn this off?
Yo, he was stressed the hell out, bro. Oh,
he's like, I just got this phone.
Where were you? That looked like an airport food court. Not gonna lie.
No, that was we were at Dave and Buster's. Because it was my wife and my kids. We just left the graduation.
Okay.
And my wife was trying to find somewhere. She was like, the only place I'm seeing is bars, and we can't bring the kids there, because we didn't have anywhere for the kids to go.
Yep.
So I'm like, she was like, well, we can try Dave and Buster's and see if that works. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. So let's just go, and we got in there. We had to wait a while for a seat. I don't think we sat down until the second quarter. Yeah,
it seemed like there was a decent amount of Knicks fans there, no?
It's Charlotte, bro. It's Charlotte. There is nothing but New Yorkers out here. It's like full of New Yorkers. When you go to the Charlotte versus the Knicks games, it's a Knicks game. It's literally a Knicks game. So I expected there to be a bunch of fans out there, and it was like they were in there in droves. So it was good to see that. It was good for my kids to experience that. One of those little clips before I'm going like this with the camera, you can see my son jumping up and down and screaming because it's just it was something that he's finally gotten into this year. So and for us to win the championship, for him to see that, that's like the best thing in the world for me.
I love it. I love it. And I'm gonna throw it to Jay.
First time he's experienced like a crazy bar scene like that, probably.
Yeah, more than likely, because but he blended right in, just like his dad. Like he was just seeing me act out the whole time. I'm in there jumping up. You know, I get into the game, man. I'm almost like the coach out there on the sidelines. But you know, I never really got to have that experience with my dad at all. But ironically, this year we got a lot closer because of the Knicks. Like he's texting me and calling me every game and all of that. So, you know, it's for me to have that in with my kids early is, you know, that's what I've always wanted, man.
Yep. Yep. Shout out to CT and the Charlotte Knicks fans. You know, I know that for a fact. Me and my brother, when my brother was doing Jets content back in the day, him and I were up there, and he put on an event at a bar there, and we were doing like a pregame show for him. And we had mad people that were at that Jets thing that came up to us and were like, yo, you're the guys that do this with the Knicks and da-da-da. Like, you know, it was just like mad people who knew our Knicks content at the Jet watch party, because it was just packed with New Yorkers out there. So that was dope. So shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I see more of y'all popping through. Shout out to my big brother in the building. I want to go to Jay Ellis's experience before going into this. Man, I feel bad that y'all didn't get this, because this is crazy. This is going to be a banger of a night. So I'll get y'all samples. I'll talk to Drew while we're on the show. But Jay, what was your experience like, bro?
So I moved to Jersey, right? I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from New York. I moved to Jersey. I don't know a lot of people out here. So after the game was over, I kind of just had that moment to myself for a second. I shed a thug tear for about 23 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And I wiped it away. And then I just looked at my phone. And then I got mad text messages from people I haven't even talked to in mad long, talking about congratulations, because everybody just knows me as the Knicks fan. Even like, so it's like congratulations. And there's even a number, I didn't know what that was. I was like, what number is this? Thanks, bro. So like, I really just kind of shared it with my KOT fan. Really, it was like the group chat, the KOT fan, and I just hopped on here and talked to you guys. And man, the big super chat, shout out to Gamer Channel and a bunch of other people who donated.
Shout out to Gamer, man. Woo.
That made it. I don't even realize what gate y'all opened by donations that y'all gave that championship night. That's going to help us so much, get so much momentum. So thank you guys, because I'm already planning in my head like how this is going to jet fuel KOT. But I just spent the time with my KOT fam and people in the group chats and just talking Knicks basketball with you guys. I'm going to get my real pandemonium moment when that parade hits. Shout out to my boss who she was just like, yo, just come in at one. Just don't post on. That's awesome. Come in at one. And shout out to my manager under the boss who broke the ice for me, because I was trying to like practice how I was going to ask my boss. And she was like, John, you're not going to parade? Man, you just put you in a meeting and just come up. And I was like, thank you for breaking the ice, because I was sweating trying to figure out how to bring this.
Nah, shout out to your boss. Shout out to a lot of people. I've been seeing videos of like co-workers and bosses bringing cakes to people at work and all this crazy stuff, knowing that they're Knicks fans, you know, like just like you. As soon as we won, I had my family and friends, you know, that, you know, are Knicks fans that reached out to me and we were celebrating together. But I got the people that were talking crap about the Knicks early in the season that were sending me messages. The people that, you know, were saying, oh, y'all are going to get crushed in the West, texting me like, dang, we were wrong. Like, you were right. That, you know, all these people like just eating that humble pie and hitting me up, congratulating me on that win, because it was huge, you know, and I want to talk about how huge it was in a second. Before I do, I want to give a shout out to Silverthorn Reserve. I'm going to have 2 samples before Drew gets here, so that when he gets here, we just have real quick, you know, whiskey talk, but there's a lot to talk about with the Knicks. So I want to have these pours now, talk about them for a second. This right here, this is a Finisher's Art Port Finish whiskey. So it's finished in wine port barrels. Absolutely delicious. It is a very low proof, easy drinker. This is 100 proof. And seriously, guys, this is like sweet red fruit, like sweet apples, a little bit of rye, a little bit of plum, maybe a little bit of caramel here and there. Like it is just a dessert pour. This is like the kind of thing that you have after a steak dinner instead of having wine. Like this is the perfect change. Forget the wine. My wife wants to have wine, so do I. Port finish. That's my steak and wine drink right here. Is this reserve right here. Absolutely delicious. Like I said, it's an easy sipper, so it's not a lot of punch. It's meant to be sweet. It's meant to be relaxing. It's meant to be enjoyable. And it seriously smells like a maple apple, candle, like something you could get at, candle pour or something like that. And then you drink it and you're just like, oh, yes, it's delicious. So, yeah, shout out to Drew on this one. I'll talk to him about it a little more. But if you guys can, this is probably one of the easiest to find from Silverthorn Reserve, being that it is their lower proof release and is more of a staple. All right. So, guys, I want to start a little bit different than I did last time. Instead of us talking about, the game and different players and then going into like 5 points that I wanted to talk about, I want to start with the 4 points and bounce around on that topic. And one that I want to talk about first is, did Jalen Brunson just author the greatest Knicks championship performance that we could have ever asked for? Because we all saw, those videos of little Becky, Becky with the not so good hair. All right. And we saw her talking about Jalen Brunson, and he's not a 1A, all this, ridiculous stuff, and that they can't win with him being their best player. And you ever, like, my wife is a huge I Love Lucy fan, like huge. And being that Ricky was Cuban, I always used to love when he would come in and be like, Lucy, you got some explaining to do, like that's how I felt as soon as Brunson held that trophy up again. Like I had my Ricky Ricardo voice, like, Becky, you got some explaining to do. And then Brunson said this, and it spoke volumes of his character, but also what he thinks of Becky Hammon.
Now that you're NBA champion, what's your message for people saying that you're not a 1A guy?
I didn't respond to them then. I'm damn sure not going to respond to them now.
Now that you're...
So, obviously, he knows that he has shut everybody up. And with that last performance, I don't think anyone can say that he was not the best player on the court, that he was not able to bring New York something that they had died for 53 years. I remember at one point, and I have another video of it somewhere, I'm telling the boys, he's getting a 50 piece tonight. He's getting a 50 piece tonight. He didn't get the 50, but he got pretty freaking close. So what are your guys' thoughts on that Jalen Brunson performance and breaking the mold of all the haters that have ever talked bad about him? I'll let you go first, Apollo.
Man, he just continues to have the biggest Lay's chip on his shoulder that I've ever seen, and he is not afraid to keep it there. Like he's never satisfied. I'm just, to have that kind of leader. I was talking to somebody earlier about where he stands in, not only Knicks history, but just in history in terms of guards. And they're talking about Allen Iverson and other guys. And I'm just like, he's not the flashy guy. He's never going to be the flashy guy, but he's one of those guys that comes in with his hard hat that you can rely on every single day and know that it's going to get, the job's going to get done every single time. And to have that kind of leader with this kind of group, a lot of these guys are guys that other teams didn't want to pay, didn't want to keep on their roster. You know what I mean? And to bring all of those guys in and to have a guy like Jalen, who's actually the perfect kind of person to be a leader for this team. He's built to prove people wrong. That's literally the kind of player he is. I don't even think Rick knew what he was doing when he was training his kid. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the what can I say? The vengeance that he had of not really getting his opportunity and went straight into Jalen. And I don't think he noticed that he put it there. And he just has the drive, like he's been trying to prove people wrong since he was born. And that's just the kind of person that he is and the kind of player that he's always going to be. But it's just hearing these people say all these things, Becky Hammond, even Candace Parker, and a lot of these people who not for nothing, it's just to cut them a little slack. History has said what they say, what they're saying is true. You know what I mean?
Say that.
They're just going off of what history says. They're not saying he's not. They're just saying, well, history has said. And that's a safe way to say he's not, by using history. But at the end of the day, there's no way you can watch Jalen and say he's not a 1A. So you can't skip around that. You can't dance around, oh, I said that he was he was too small. No, you also said he wasn't a 1A guy. You said he wasn't a 1A. And this guy's out here doing things that we haven't seen since Michael Jordan. So I think he's the kind of player that will continue to do things. Like I said, I said it the other day, he's going to celebrate and he's going to get right back to work because he's not satisfied. And I think the league has done a terrible thing by allowing this guy to get a taste of a championship because he's going to be a freaking nut job for the rest of his career.
Yeah. That's a great point, is like, you can word it however you want, but when you look back, Allen Iverson wasn't an extremely tall guard, and people believed in him. They called him the answer. Like people believed in him. I think the fact that Jalen Brunson is so reserved, personality wise, and is more of a I don't need to bark to show that I can bite, kind of player. I think that was underlooked. People wanted him to be flashy. People wanted him to be highlight like people would look at players like LaMelo Ball and be like, oh yeah, he could definitely lead a team to a championship. What? Why? Because he's flashy? Because he dunks? Because he likes to like street ball dribble? Like that doesn't make him a 1A player. That makes him a flashy player. There's a difference. And so those same people will give him more credit than anything. But let's read this, and then I'm going to throw it to Al and then Jay Ellis. But playoff stats, 28.4 points per game for Jalen Brunson. That's even with those games where we were like, dang, he shot like 2 for 20, like that game. That's horrible. Yet still was able to average 28.4 through the whole thing, 6.1 assists, which is leaps and bounds better than what we used to see in the playoffs last year. That shows growth on his assist rating as well. 3.2 rebounds per game, 1.2 steals per game, 57.3 true shooting percentage. Okay. Total playoff production, 539 points, 105 assists, 192 made field goals. And then in the finals, he averaged 32.6 points per game. When it mattered the most, 32.6, 4.6 assists per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 38.9% from three, 86% from the free throw line. And then the closeout game, 45 points, which is the Knicks franchise record for points in an NBA Finals game, and 29 points in the second half. Like, if that's not a 1A player, I don't know what is. Like, those numbers are incredible. What are your thoughts, Al?
On top of that, I'm gonna just add some more stats on there. On top of that, he is the only player in playoff history to have 2,000 points, 450 assists, and under 3,000 playoff minutes played. There's no one else that's done that. Not LeBron, not Jordan, not Kobe, not anybody. He just wrapped up the highest finals points per game by a point guard ever with 32.6.
That's crazy.
Not SGA, not Steph Curry, not your boy Luka Doncic, who a lot of people glaze. And there was a list that just came out today with the top 100 players in the NBA. They got Brunson at number 5, and they got Luka Doncic over him. I disagree. Okay. And one more for you. These are the list of the players that have an NBA title an NBA Finals MVP, an NCAA title, and the Naismith College Player of the Year award.
Mhm.
Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, and Jalen Brunson in the history of basketball.
Let me stop you right there. Under that post that they posted, that they actually said that Magic Johnson actually didn't win the Naismith Player of the Year that year.
Really?
So it actually shrinks the list,
Wow.
which is even crazy.
That's
The-
crazy.
Oh yeah, because this dude won it. Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, yep.
And that is true. That's facts. Because that's why they had the whole rivalry.
Mhm.
But what I also wanted to say about that was he's the shortest guy out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
By far.
So that's what makes this even crazier. Like, to do the things that he's doing at his height in this league that is getting increasingly taller. He just took out a little giant. And like, it's crazy, man. Like, honestly, like, it's just, yeah, I'm glad he deserves all the accolades, man. He's a stone cold blooded killer and one of the best leaders I've ever seen in any sports, period. You don't have to worry about no nonsense with him. What happened?
We're going to talk about any sports in a second, because I want to hear your take on that. But I have something to bring up about New York sports right after Jay gives his take on Jalen Brunson's performance.
Historic, man. Listen, I'm a guy who's 5'7", so I like seeing the short guards prove people wrong. I like proving people wrong in general. That's like one of my favorite pastimes. It's like basketball, art, proving people wrong. Right? Yep. 1, 2, 3. So when I'm seeing what Jalen Brunson is doing to people, it makes my heart elated, because like everybody always says, everybody is better than Jalen Brunson until it's time to play Jalen Brunson. Yeah. And like one of my favorite moments in the playoffs was just watching Jalen Brunson hunt and dissect the defensive player of the year, because the entire Dyson Daniels is going to stop you, Castle is going to stop you, there was always a Brunson stopper every single series, and you would think the defensive player of the year, the unanimous defensive player of the year, would be able to slow him down. But no, Brunson was hunting him for 2 games, calling out switches. Hey, bring your ass here, boy. Bop, bop, took you to the hole. That one play that keeps getting replayed on repeat the whole night, when Brunson is crossing up Wemby, hitting him with the chicken wing and then going under him. It's something that I watched 55, 65, 105 times. I love it, man. And it's come to a point where he's getting in these conversations with who are the best guards in the league. But at some point, you're gonna have to just drop the guard conversation and be like, best player in the league. Because when you're looking at these playoff lists and you're looking at these playoff scoring stats, and you see Jalen Brunson way at the top, and then you look a little bit next, and then you see Michael Jordan under him. Yeah, you gotta then just talk about the players and not the guard thing. And some people are still kind of biased even while watching something superhuman in front of them. Some people are still saying to this day, well, Wemby's still the better player. It's like, is Wemby better in the post than Jalen Brunson? Nope. When you're guarded is better in the post than your starting center, I think you need to reevaluate who is better where. Yes, he can block shots better than Jalen Brunson. Yes, he can play defense better than Jalen Brunson, but so can Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, when you look at it that way, then I think people have to start to realize we have to put Jalen Brunson in different types of conversations. So I'm just elated the conversations that's been happening, and I'm sitting back and watching what is going to happen to the world if the Knicks actually two-peat. I think people's brains are going to explode, and Becky Hammond is not going to know what to do with herself. And I'm just sitting back and watching.
She's going to have to come out and say something.
One other stat that we missed: Jalen Brunson has led the playoffs in fourth quarter scoring.
Yes.
Since 2021.
Yes.
5 years in a row.
Yes.
You got to think about all the players that have been, like, all the stars, the mega stars that have been in the playoffs these years. And JB is ahead of all of them in terms of fourth quarter points. Like fourth quarter points are critical. That's like winning time. Like that dude is a straight up winner, man. Like period.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know what's crazy is like we overcome all the hurdles that people thought were too big for us to overcome, and to not put him as one of the best right now and ever to do it is absolute ridiculous. Like it just means you don't care about the game of basketball. You just really want to disagree for the sake of disagreeing. All right. So I've seen a lot of debates asking this question, asking something alongside this lines, but I formed it as my question of, is Brunson the true face of New York sports? Not just the Knicks, but basketball in itself, like, or basketball in itself, but all of New York sports. And is this story one of the greatest, if not the greatest story for New York sports? Because listen, as a Yankee fan, I understand the faces that have been the face of the Yankees. Okay. But the Yankees have won 27 World Series championships. Okay. They have won 5 since I became a fan. But the Knicks have had this insane drought from 20 years, years even before I was born. No, it was 70. Yeah. So 10 years before I was born. So does this make Jalen Brunson one of the most influential and important faces of all time for New York sports and bringing a championship to New York? To me, it has to be, because I feel like the pressure of the Mecca and the pressure of the Knicks is one of the most heavy burdens you can wear in New York sports, because the Yankees are known to win, so it's like if you have a bad year as the leader, okay, we've all had championships. It's not like we're preventing it from ever happening in our lifetime. But Jalen Brunson had to wear that on his chest, on his back, and all that. So do you guys think that he's one of the most, if not the most, influential, impactful man in sports for New York?
I think the only person that's in the category with him is Derek Jeter. It's the only other person that you could put his name next to. Now, I don't know. We can debate about who's 1 and who's 2 in that category, but the Yankees have one side of town and the Knicks have the entire town. Like it ain't no Nets fans out here. So it's the difference. You know what I mean? Like when we go to the parade on Thursday, it's going to be the biggest parade ever, because when the Yankees win, Mets fans aren't showing up. When the Mets win, Yankees fans aren't showing up. Same thing with the Giants and the Jets. And then when the Knicks win, everyone's showing up.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. I'm going to share this video before I throw it to one of the other guys, because you had a perfect thing that I wanted to show that Kat said on the Tonight Show.
Bring together New York.
Yeah.
Like it's you.
Whoops.
Together New York.
Yeah.
Like it's you. I've never seen all 5 boroughs get together. Hell, I saw Brooklyn celebrating for the Knicks.
Yeah.
And they have a whole team.
They got a whole team. They got a whole team.
I didn't see that.
That was hilarious.
I mean,
you're right.
What can you say?
I'm from Brooklyn and I've never been a Nets fan, so
Facts. So what do you guys think about his solidified status as possibly the GOAT of New York sports?
Oh, hell yeah. No, hell yeah. Yeah, listen, man, he's in discussion for being the face of the league. So if you're in discussion for being the face of the league, then by default, you're going to be in the discussion for being the face of New York sports. And it's the story, right? It's the storybook route that he took to get here. The guy who was supposed to be a second-round pick, he was overlooked on, even though he won on every single level of his career, he was still overlooked. And for him to be playing next to Luka, being overlooked in Dallas, right? Being one of the huge reasons why they beat Utah, because Luka was injured that first round. They went up on Utah 2-1. They still didn't give him an offer. He comes to New York. We went after Donovan Mitchell. That was the big guy to get. He was going after Donovan Mitchell. Don't forget, Jalen Brunson was supposed to be the number 2 or just one of the guys here. We didn't get Donovan Mitchell, so we were like, all right, I guess it's you and Julius. And then Julius quickly realized, oh, wait a minute, it's not. I'm not 1A and he's one and he's 1B. He's the 1A guy. So it's like that story from being second round to being doubted to being moved to New York to being the afterthought in New York, who ends up being in MVP conversations, setting records set by Jordan, beating records set by Jordan, and now winning the championship for a star franchise who hasn't won a championship in 53 years. You absolutely have to consider him, or he has to be the face of New York sports right now. It's just the story writes itself.
Yeah.
Did you see the standing ovation that Mike Brown got at the restaurant that he went to?
Yep, we're gonna talk about that too.
Mike Brown is getting a whole standing ovation from the whole restaurant. They all got up and applauded for this guy. Imagine that's the coach. Imagine if it was JB. Like,
oh my God.
That's crazy.
Princess Amunda.
I mean, personally, I think it's really hard to make an argument against it. I wasn't an adult around the time that Derek Jeter won, so I don't know the energy and what people were actually saying. I do know that he just was that guy. You know what I mean? Like he didn't pay for a thing in New York. You know what I mean? He was so great at what he did and the way he led and just his poise. That's something that you see a lot of in Jalen Brunson as well. Yep. So, I mean, the thing is, you know, like Jay Ellis said, the story is just amazing. You know, getting drafted in the second round after winning on every level, Naismith Player of the Year, 2 championships, you still get picked in the second round. Like, I don't know how that happens. You know what I mean? There had to be more than just his height. Like, you know, and I think that's what happens in college. A lot of people get they get this label of just, you know, not being able to do it on the pro level because of their size and not being able to do it against the bigger guys. But, you know, you had to see how he did it. You know, it wasn't just like he had a nice run. Like the dude was a dog since he's been in high school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's something you can't teach. You don't just learn that in the NBA. You know what I mean? And then having, like you said, having to shadow Luka for all of those years, and then when Luka gets hurt, you are the guy that the team is being led by. Yeah. And being able to beat who was it, Utah in that series, which had Donovan Mitchell at the time. And to still, like you said, to still not be given the respect and the credit and be overlooked. And lastly, the media, man, the media made it. The media has the reason why he's going to be the face of New York sports is because the media never believed in him, especially New York media. Yeah. They never believed in him. So now they have to do an about face in public to everyone as often as they can because they did not give him the credit that they should have when he first got here. So, you know, even Stephen A, you know, he's the biggest one that everybody knows that he's going to get the most credit when it comes to how much he didn't believe in Jalen Brunson and you know, his little clip of saying Jalen Brunson or whatever, you know, but the rest of the media, it wasn't just him. They did not believe that Jalen Brunson was that guy. Everyone was saying, all right, now what? Now what? What do you get? What do you get after that? And the after that is Cat. You know what I mean? The Cat who was the second best player because we already had our best player and people just didn't know it. So I think in terms of him being the face of New York sports, there's no better representation of it. You know, a lot of people in New York, you know, a lot of guards in New York, you know, they're small guards. You know, let's be real. Like there's not a lot of just tall guards in New York. And I mean New York City. I'm not talking about just like the players that come from that what do you call it? That wheelhouse or that farm. They're not necessarily big guards.
Jose Alvarado.
Yeah, Jose Alvarado. Another example. A lot of these guys are small guards, and all he did was just put a battery in all of their backs. You know what I mean? And that speaks volumes for every guy that plays basketball in New York. You know what I mean? So, personally, I don't think there's a better face. I think even Derek Jeter would say it. You know what I mean? I think he's just a different kind of guy, and he's still hungry. You know, he's just
I love it.
Nothing better, bro.
I love it. So before we end the Jalen Brunson talk, I want to hear from the actual players that played around him, because I thought that this was a really cool segment in the post-game interviews.
You talked about, Jalen, you're not going to be alone. I'm going to be with you step for step the entire way. And tonight, for him to kind of hit the gas, 45 points in a closeout game on the road, I guess, what did you see from him tonight, and what do you see from him?
I see a man that's grown up and took the challenge of being in the biggest market in the world, being with a team that hasn't made it to the NBA Finals in 27 years, hasn't won in 54 years, and knowing that he could do it. And, shout out to everybody who told him he couldn't do it because they gave him fuel for the fire. And for him to welcome both of us here into this organization and trust that we were here for him, it means a lot. It means a lot to have a person like that who's been handed the keys to the city and was willing to have the door open for both of us to join.
I love that. Like, I love the acknowledgement of how great he is, but also the inclusion that he ended up, showing these guys.
Right.
Like the inclusion of like, yeah, this may be my city, but let's rule it together. Like it was so dope, because I feel like a true leader does that. A true leader doesn't always have to be the one that gets all the props and all the shine. And we've struggled with that with players in the past, like players that we would consider leaders that were just like, unless you're in the media, unless you're the one that's the star of the game, you don't really care, about what's going on. Like if you're not getting the props, but that's not what we saw. We saw that evolution even more this season than ever. We saw the evolution of Jalen Brunson, even from ISO Brunson to captain of this team. And we're going to win by all means, whatever I have to sacrifice, they have to sacrifice. Let's do it. So new levels of leadership from Jalen Brunson. So the next topic I want to talk about before we bring up our guest in about 15 minutes. First, I want to go and talk about this little pour right here. This right here is the Silverthorn Reserve 10-year bourbon blend. And this is good, guys. This is the kind of bourbon you want on your shelf. It's not super young, but it's not overly, aged as well. This one's got 115 proof on it. And it smells like a maple bomb on the nose with some brown sugar, roasted nuts. But when you drink it, it's absolutely delicious. Like straight up, you get cola vibes. You get like sweet oak. You get some chai spice, a little bit of tobacco, some chocolate. That would be like my kids love putting Nutella on their pancakes, like a little bit of Nutella, like, or like if you go to, that one spot, the market, the Italy market, that Joe, whatever his name, owns in the city. He also has one in Chicago and all those places. They have like a Nutella stand in there where they put Nutella on everything. Like that's exactly what this is. It's got a little bit of Nutella, a little bit of cola, a little bit of tobacco and sweet oak. This is absolutely delicious. Like this is the kind of pour that you want to bring out with your buddies, just sitting around talking Knicks. So next time I see you guys, we'll get you some of those samples. But this is an absolute banger. And the crazy thing is nothing I've tasted from Silverthorn is not a banger. Like Drew knows what the heck he's doing. Like he is the Jalen Brunson of the whiskey industry. And I love that about him. And I can't wait to hear more of his story in a little bit. But the next topic I want to talk about, guys, is did the New York Knicks front office build the new NBA blueprint? Like, did Leon Rose just set the new standard of how to build an NBA team? Because you got to look at the regimes before. Okay. We have no super team. Okay. Like on paper, no super team, no players that have already done it, that have been brought in to help do it again, or that were almost there, that were brought in to do it. We had no top 3 MVP candidate, which every other winning season recently has. We've had no tanking blueprint at all. When people were saying, just tank, your team sucks. You never saw that. But what we built, especially this year under Mike Brown, it started with Thibodeau, give him his flowers. But what we saw really come to fruition was an elite culture. How many times did we always say they got Heat culture? What is Knicks culture? Well, we saw Knicks culture this year. That interview shows Knick culture. A bunch of amazing basketball players seeing that it's not about them, but it's about them, as a whole. Two-way wings that showed up night in and night out. Whether they had a good game or a bad game, they put in that effort. And we had two really good wings. The depth and being willing to go to your bench and not just relying on 5 overpaid players in your starting lineup. That was huge. Clutch shot making. And at the end of the day, having not only a coach, because if you look at it, I want to find the Mike Brown interview, but they were talking about, and I'm going to play it in the Dolan interview as well, but they talk about how Mike Brown was brought in to get these guys to find an identity as a whole instead of individual identities. And that's what Mike Brown was able to do this year. And so one thing I also want to say to Mike Brown is I was wrong. Because of what I saw with Rick Brunson in the Thibodeau era, I wanted Rick Brunson gone. Two of the main changes that we saw come to the Knicks' betterment this year came because of Rick Brunson. When JB was out and we didn't know what we were going to do, it was Rick Brunson that pulled Mike Brown aside and said, we need to run this offense through Cat right now. And we saw how elite it was when we ran it through Cat, that we were then able to rely on that throughout the rest of the season and at times in the playoffs. Rick Brunson was also the one that was willing to pull Jalen Brunson aside and say, pass the bleep ball. And that rough conversation on the sideline led to some introspection where you saw Jalen Brunson kind of take a turn at that point and not go back to old ways. So shout out to Rick Brunson. I am thankful that you were on the sidelines for the second half of the season and all throughout the playoffs, and you deserve your roses that I wasn't willing to give you before. So shout out to him. But do you guys think that we have now found a new blueprint and that we're going to see different teams kind of take this approach? Like, do you guys think that this is something that other teams are going to want to do? Think on your answer real quick as I share this video that I'll tweet over. All right. Y'all can see that. All right. James Dolan.
Changed coaches at the end of last season because we believed that Leon and I believed that you, the team, and the rest of the organization needed to be heard, needed to work together more, not just led or dictated to. And Coach Tibbs was a great coach, brilliant, etc. But we thought that you needed a coach, right, that would pull you together, that would have you play as a team. And although it's not been perfect, right, we believe that together, a joint effort, right, would be better for the team. That would give us a shot, right, at winning a championship rather than relying on one person's opinion. And that's the team that we have now. We believe that instead of relying on the coach, that you would discipline each other, that you would talk to each other, that you would figure out how to play together with each other, and that was stronger than hearing it from just one voice.
All right. So I know many times I've been like, Dolan, just stop talking. But in that moment, I loved every minute of that interview. Like, I loved every minute of that speech because my biggest gripe with Tibbs was that no player really had an identity outside what he said their identity needed to be. And players never really got to shine for who they were. And we saw so many players revive themselves as players in a Knicks uniform and be able to do things that they weren't able to do other places in their career. They got to do here. They got to figure it out with Mike Brown. You look at some of the Mike Brown interviews or the players talking about Mike Brown, and they were like, yeah, there were some tough conversations. Like, I had to talk to Cat. Cat had to talk to me. I had to compromise. He had to compromise. We had to talk to others and figure out where we weren't compromising. And then we had to compromise with others to get to where we were at. And I think that is the most beautiful thing that we watched was from the start of the season to the end, how it went from confusion to beauty. Like it was like seriously like just putting a whole bunch of musicians in a room and going play. And it was like and it was like, holy crap, what is this? Does not sound good. And then by the end of it, it was like we're in Carnegie Hall. Like we are watching and listening to the most beautiful orchestra of basketball. And that all came from James Dolan and Leon Rose saying, hey, we need many voices. Tibbs only allows one. We love him. He's a friend. But this organization does not change on one voice. And he was right. And Mike Brown was the right person to get us to make music together. So shout out to them. Jay Ellis, do you think that this will spark a difference in how NBA teams approach to building a winning team?
Yes and no, because this is a copycat league. So every time somebody wins a championship, the league tries to copy that. But what makes this team a little different is that for it to work, you had to have certain personality type of players. You had to have players who are willing to sacrifice. And I don't know if that's the DNA of most people, So from the top, right? Jalen Brunson led the league, led the Knicks in scoring, and he was the facto leader. He took a pay cut so he can sign his boy and they can fill out this roster. How many stars can you say are going to take a pay cut? Not many, right? Then on top of that, two-way wings, right? I do feel like the Celtics were the guys who had two-way wings. And now that's why the Knicks got two-way wings in the first place.
Yeah.
But what's the thing about two-way wings? Two-way wings are the most expensive piece in the NBA. So yes, ideally, you want to have two-way wings that can defend and shoot the three and are over 6'7", 6'8". But how many of those are there in the league that can do both? There's like not really that many. Maybe on one hand you can count. And then you have your stretch five, right? That's gonna give your guy space, room to manipulate. How many true stretch fives are there in the league that can actually defend and shoot threes? It's like Cat. There may be Kristaps Porzingis, who has the talent, but he's also often injured, and so there's not a lot of talent to aggregate for other teams to actually copy the Knicks bar for bar. They would have to kind of look at the draft and go, okay, maybe this guy is kind of like a Brunson or whatever. But like, and that's the last part too. Finding a clutch player to Jalen Brunson's magnitude is not something that just falls out the sky. So you can say, oh, all we need is a clutch player, two-way wings, and a stretch five. Like, okay, good luck. Good luck doing that. You see what happened to the Celtics when they lost their stretch five, right?
Mm-hmm.
They tried to find the next best thing in I forgot the guy's name off the Bulls, and I'm looking at them like, okay, that's a nice try, but that is a fall from grace from what Kristaps Porzingis was giving you when he's healthy.
Yeah.
So yes, you can try to mimic what the Knicks are doing, but there's not a lot of pieces available, or there's not like a big talent pool available to kind of build another New York Knicks team somewhere else.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because I will say whether or not they build a team the same way, the Knicks already have people second guessing their rosters. Something I did not expect to hear was, I don't know if it's rumor or not, but there's rumors that the Celtics are willing to look into a possible trade for Jaylen Brown, which after this year's season for him, I would not have expected that.
I expected.
So I think that teams are already looking and going, okay, how do we get back to what we just watched? Like one of the most dominant runs from a NBA playoff team of all time. How do we get to that? And I'm not going to lie, it feels pretty dang good to be the standard of greatness. You know, for the first time that we're not going into the offseason going, how do we get there? You know, to actually be what teams want to get to. What are your thoughts, Al?
I think my answer was going to kind of be yes and no as well. The reason I say no is because I just don't think that I don't think the way we got here can actually be duplicated. In the past, the teams that have won the championship have been either like if you think about OKC, you know, they were assembled through the draft. If you think about like the Heat and those guys, there was like, you know, big free agent acquisitions. If you think about like the Celtics, they were like some big time blockbuster trades. The Knicks didn't have any of that. What the Knicks did, we built our championship roster off of like singles and doubles trades.
Yeah.
Like no huge blockbuster trade. Or I guess maybe the cat trade was a blockbuster trade, but that was the biggest trade that we made. And he's not even the best player on the team. So I don't think we've seen a team that was assembled via trade win a championship like that.
Yeah.
All 5 of our starters have started on a different team. And that's the first time there's an NBA champion that all 5 of their starters has started on a different team.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think I don't think it's something that we'll see again, honestly, to be quite honest with you. What I do think, what I do think teams are going to start copying is the way that they structure their contracts. Like the thing with Jaylen Brown, I kind of could see coming because the Celtics are so top heavy.
Yep.
You can't win like that anymore. With 2 super max players like that making $60 million each, it's gonna restrict you so much in terms of your roster. And now in today's NBA, you need a full 15 in today's NBA. It's like we even played like we in the playoffs, we played at least like
12
10 or 11 players.
Yeah.
We went kind of deep. Like everyone had to play. So you need that depth. So I think the asking players to take less. I think you're going to see more GMs, and I hear that there's pressure already around the league with GMs telling their stars like, "Yo, Jalen Brunson took less to win. Like, your move. Like, how bad do you want to win?" Kind of deal.
I think Cat's gonna have that same conversation.
Oh yeah, Cat's gonna have that conversation too. That's why in the chat I was saying like, Cat's not getting that full max money, and if he wants that, it's gonna, he might have to walk if he really wants that. But he's going to have to, if he wants to stay here, he's going to have to give back a good, hopefully, $3-5 million a year or something like that. Like, give us some breathing room. You know what I mean? Word. So, yeah, I think in that sense, you'll see some form of copying.
Yeah. All right. Apollo, what are your thoughts before I bring up our guest? But one thing I do want to say is the Cat trade was probably the biggest, but I don't want to sleep on what Leon Rose was able to do with the OG trade, because that one too, we never thought we were going to get OG, because RJ wasn't at the level that we had expected from a 3rd round pick. And we were like, okay, this is shooting for the fences, to try to get a 2-way player like OG, who was on a championship team before. And we're going to give a round 3 pick that never came to fruition that we really want, round 1 pick that never came to fruition that we really wanted. And Emmanuel Quickly, who, wants a bag, and we're not going to give it to him. And everyone knows we're not going to give him the bag. And so it was kind of an underwhelming offer, like in my opinion.
We were beefing, and we were beefing with them. Like we were we were suing them.
Yep. Yep. That's the whole injury situation.
In itself is like we were suing homeboy, and we still, got it. So I don't know what just happened to Al. I don't know where he went.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back. But without further ado, I want to bring up our guest.
I didn't get my part.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't know I skipped you. Sorry.
It's all good. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Gotta speak up. You know what I mean? But I was just gonna say, shout out to Tibbs for the foundation that he set with these guys. You still hear these guys saying the magic's gonna work, and that was like Tibbs's favorite freaking saying. So shout out to him for that. But there had to be a change for sure. But I will say that I feel like there is some onus on guys in terms of contractual agreements to change things up. I had a quote from Jay Will, from the Get Up on ESPN, Jay Williams. Do I sound weird?
No.
No, you're fine.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Maybe it's my headphones. So he basically said, the quote was, "I've talked to a couple different guys, players that could be supermax this year or next year. They're starting to feel a little pressure from team owners by saying, yo, Jalen Brunson left $113 million on the table. What are you going to do?" And, that to me, I think it means a lot. Now, it wasn't the first time this happened. Steph Curry did something very similar. It wasn't as much money that he gave up, obviously, initially, but the Warriors definitely. So I think in the copycat league, I think that was something that we copied in a way. It's just like you mentioned earlier with the wings that we had. We did that because we felt that we had to beat the Celtics. You know what I mean? And that was something that they structured their team around, beating the Celtics. And this way, when we ran into the Pacers, it was kind of like, oh, hold on. Like, we weren't really prepared for this. You know what I mean? Like, we were prepared to beat the Celtics, which we did. And after we beat the Celtics, it was like, wait, I thought this was going to be it, So I think last year, losing the way we did, it was more like, all right, it's maybe not a structural thing. Maybe it's a scheme. It's a schematic thing that we have to change up, which what led to Coach Mike Brown. So, I mean, I think there is some things that this team did that will influence the other teams around the NBA. Especially money. Like, it's not going to be good for teams for a little while, or players that are looking for a lot of this money from teams that they worked, played for a long time.
Yeah.
It's good luck getting that bag. You know what I mean? Because you're starting to see even the Celtics are regretting giving Jaylen Brown all of that money. So it's not. Yeah, some guys deserve it. Some guys earn it, but you have to be careful about the character of these guys. Are they going to go take that supermax? You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, we won, so yeah, it's time for me to get paid, because now you financially cap your team. You can't really do anything past that one championship that you did. So now they have to revisit moving these guys apart, which is clearly a championship caliber core. So I think it's really important. And then, the last time that we saw it happen with the Warriors, like, they won for a little while because it took teams a while to understand how we're going to beat these guys. How are we going to structure a team? I was talking to my friend, one of my close friends yesterday, just about even how Melo was viewed based off of the things that happened around the franchise at the time that he was there, that he had no control over. A lot of times people forget that Amari punched the freaking fire extinguisher glass and couldn't even help him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Jeremy Lin's situation with him being injured, and then the Rockets overpaying him and them not be. Melo had nothing to do with any of that. You know what I mean? You see with this team, everything has to go right from top to bottom. And this video comes out with James Dolan, and it's even more of a proof that, listen, everyone from top, literally top to bottom, have to be on the same page. This is not about assembling a team with talent. It's not about just getting guys to sign lower contracts. It's about guys who all understand their roles. And it's very hard. That's why Leon Rose went out and got a bunch of guys who won championships together already, because he didn't have to teach these guys how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, these guys actually know how to win at a high level already. That's something that they've already done together. So you didn't have to bring in guys who had to learn their roles. They knew their roles from the moment they got into the league. That was their role. They tried it with other teams and it didn't work. And you bring them together and it's just like magic. So, I think there is going to be some efforts to try to copy what's going on here, but it's a lot harder than it seems to structure a team like that. That's why the Warriors were so good for so long, because it took the league a really long time to adjust to what they were doing and how they were able to keep such a strong team for so long. And like Mikal said in his live, man, like, Jalen he's happy. He's going to celebrate and he's going to get right back to it, because that's just the kind of guy he is. And, wouldn't be surprised if a dynasty is forming here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that we're going to see a lot more to come from this squad. Like when you say dynasty, you have to look at our situation. Brunson's in his prime. OG is in his prime. Bridges is in his prime. Towns is under contract. Like we have all the pieces. We have young depth pieces already. We have contracts that are expiring or getting ready to expire that we now have a choice what we do with them. Like all the chips are kind of in our hand right now. Like this is favor at its finest. So I'm getting ready to bring up my guy, Drew Thorne from Silverthorn Reserve. And I'm excited because a lot of times with anything like with brands, you want to get bigger. You want to get more. You want to reach these new levels. You want to get to like this higher level of production, this higher level of this higher level of that. And sometimes people do something a little bit different. And what they do it is kind of like what Jalen Brunson's done. You know, he's gone, I don't need the more. I just need the done in excellence. You know, I just want to, you know, take what I have and make it that much better. Like I can take less. And I feel like it's perfect to be talking about that right now because I feel like Drew is that. I feel like Drew is that when it comes to the whiskey industry. Like I said, last week we had Sagamore Spirits on here. Drew is the guy that for 10 years helped get Sagamore to the national brand that it is. Like he put in that work to get them where they're at. And he kind of just decided like, hey, I'm going to leave Sagamore. I want to create a whiskey brand that's more focused on like tiny projects, unique barrels, and just delicious whiskey. And this is all from what like I know of the story. I want to, obviously, if I'm wrong, I want him to call me out and be like, shut up, bro. You don't know my life. I want him to say that. But this is what I know of the story. And so he kind of took that step to leave Sagamore that he helped build to put out his own product that was just truly him and truly things that he loves and enjoys. And the name Silverthorn actually comes from his last name, Thorn, and his wife's last name. And he kind of blended those two together. And so that's where you get the name Silverthorn, was because her last name is Silver something. So yeah, her last name is Silverman, and his first name is his last name is Thorn. So Silverthorn came from that. So I think it's cool because this is a very personal, intimate, intentional brand from him. And everything that I've tasted is freaking delicious. Like seriously, when he first sent out the releases of this 13 year to all the content creators within the whiskey space that I know, it was just like night and day. It went from Silverthorn, to every single person that I know on the content creation game was giving him praise for this bottle on their channels. So without further ado, I want to give a round of applause to this guy right here. And he straight up said, I don't know anything about basketball, but I'm learning about, I want to learn about your legendary Knicks. So I said, don't worry, we'll definitely let you learn today. So without further ado, here's my guy, Drew Thorne.
Yo, Jay Ellis is going to drop.
Oh, you dropping out, Jay? Appreciate you, bro. Love you so much, man.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Shout out to everybody. We are now at 10,024 subscribers right now. So it's growing by the minute. So it went from 10,000 at, you know, at 7:45 to now at 9:45, 10,024. So by the minutes, they are growing. So thank you. Love you, Jay. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, later.
Peace.
All right. Without further ado, I got to give the round of applause again because that threw all my whole mojo off. So here we go. Drew Thorne. Hey, what's up, Drew?
What's up, Drew?
What's up, Phil? How's it going, Apollo? What's up, Al?
How you doing, man?
Good to meet you all. Thanks a lot for having me on, Phil. I appreciate it. And like you said, watching this show so far has been a real good crash course in NBA strategy and kind of digging into everything that went amazingly for the Knicks this year. I was able to catch Game 5. I was down at my brother-in-law's house in Miami last weekend and had some time, and so watched them put it across the finish line, and it was amazing. Nice. You know, in the first half, like they were down, it was like 13, 15 points at one point, and they just like locked it in and came back and took it to the finish line. It was great to see.
I love it. I love it. You know what's crazy is over these last few weeks, and it's kind of been like this all season. I knew I was throwing the whiskey scene and the Knicks scene kind of a curveball with this show. You know, it was like whiskey and NBA don't typically go hand in hand. You know, you find a few of us, but typically you go to, you know, a sports bar to watch the Knicks, and it's bottom shelf alcohol, you know, at its finest, or pints of beer, you know? And so I was just like, man, merging my two passions is not the easiest thing, but I want to do it. So we're going to do it. And then I found these two guys willing to do it and take that risk with me. And it's cool because, like, all throughout the season, we've had a few people here and there that are NBA fans and they have their team or whatever. But typically it's the same story, like not really an NBA fan. And I'm like, that's cool. You know, we still want to host you. But by the end of the season, the amount of whiskey, brand reps, distillers, brand owners who have contacted me in the last 3 days about the New York Knicks and our championship has been astronomical. Like, all of them that have been on the show been like, hey, we were thinking of you. We watched it with our friends. You know, we had some that were like, we were in New York, so we were like, in your honor, we went and found a watch party in the park. And like all these people that weren't willing to watch basketball in their 30 to 50 years of life, all of a sudden showing mad love and support to the New York Knicks and to our channel. So I thought that was just like super cool to see. Like, even you coming up here from the email, like, I know nothing about the Knicks, to you being like, I watched Game 5. I'm like, Drew, yeah, you know, this is amazing. So I appreciate you.
No, man, I appreciate you. Like, you're bringing two passions together that, like you said, don't necessarily overlap for everyone, but people feel that, and it's you know, I think your energy around both of these passions like brings a group together that might not otherwise come together, and that's beautiful in itself.
Yeah, and I appreciate that encouragement, because we've actually talked about it. Like, we were like, if we just talked basketball, we know that numbers would rise, because, you know, when we talk whiskey, some non-whiskey people don't want to watch it and vice versa. But at the end of the day, we have so much passion. You know, the three of us enjoy these moments, you know, that we're just like, we don't want to pivot, you know, because for the ones that are here, we want to keep it, you know, the ones that, you know, continue to be faithful to it and want to learn about craft whiskey and, you know, the New York Knicks. Because to us, you get me and Al, you know, on any night, because we live next to each other, on a New York Knicks game, there's going to be 4 top-notch pours, you know, for the quarters. And him and I are just going to talk tasting notes in between the timeouts. And so we want to create that, even though it's not the norm. So we appreciate you. But Drew, let's talk. You know, tell me if I was wrong on the information I know of your time at Sagamore and your reason for kind of diving into Silverthorn. And if it's right, tell me what like really sparked that change for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, I think you got it. For me, you know, I've been in kind of the beverage business for about 30 years. I started in craft beer back in the 90s. I was a brewer and starting out in my 20s and got into it from there. And then in 2015, who would become the owner and primary investor in Sagamore, his team tapped me to come in and help be on the startup team. And I had been working at a brewery at that point. And I was like, all right, I'm like, I love a new challenge. I'm going to come over, and a lot of distilling, really, like the whole front end of making beer. So that's kind of the foundation for it. And then you run through a still. So I wasn't, the fact that I hadn't been in whiskey prior to that, I knew it was not going to be a tough transition, because I'd been in beer for 20 years.
Wait, can you say that again? Because you cut out a little bit and I missed it. You said that, where's the overlap with making craft beer and
sure. So when you make whiskey, you pretty much start by making beer. So the first thing you do is you cook a bunch of grains together. Typically, it's going to be corn, rye, malted barley, maybe wheat, depending on what you're doing. you cook that mixture up to essentially release the sugars from those grains, and then you ferment that. That's the same process for beer. And so a lot of your flavor development in whiskey and in any distilled product is coming from how well you manage your cooking and your fermentations. And that is like, that's beer 101. Then you're running it through distillation equipment to extract the alcohol from the beer. And that's concentrating those flavors and concentrating the alcohol percentages to get up to a level where you would become a spirit. Making whiskey, typically you're in the 130, 135 proof range that you've distilled that beer that starts at 7 to 8% alcohol up to 130, 135 proof. And that's pretty much a mechanical process. You're running that beer that you've made through a still, and there's management to that, but a lot of it's relatively automated. And you're managing the basically the temperatures and the speed at which you're running the still to have a nice even extraction of alcohol from the beer.
Wow, that's super interesting.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
I'm sure Phil knew that already. He didn't tell us that.
Yes. Well, we went from trying to get you to stop saying, smooth to, there's a lot of education. I figured
Hey, I've come a long way, man. I've come a long way.
You have. I figured I'd let Drew drop some gems. I can't give you everything. I got to hold some of the keys.
Mhm.
So Drew, so you're doing all this, and you're with Sagamore, and many people aim for that, like national recognition, national status. We're in stores, we're getting the buzz, we've arrived.
Yeah.
What made you, as someone that became a household name for Sagamore, made you want to go, there's something more for me, something different? And it might not be the glitz and glam that everyone else, sees what I'm doing now as, but it's the more fulfilling thing for me. Like, what made you take that step?
Yeah, no, I tell you, it's I mean, I never got into any of this for glam. Like the reality of working in a distillery, like it's work. This is manual labor. You're getting dirty. You're cleaning a lot of tanks. You're like, and I like that. I like being in the work. And I had, my time at Sagamore was great. That's an amazing company. Like it's filled with amazing people making amazing whiskey. But I had been there for so long. I worked my way up, and I became the CEO. And so I was basically running all of their production operations from the start. And then I eventually moved into the CEO role. And honestly, I mean, it was a great opportunity, but I got pretty far removed from actually creating and making and the doing. And it just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I kind of want to reset on this. I miss actually making things. And like a lot of my passion for this from the very beginning, back when I was brewing at a small brew pub, was like creating new things. And I'd been kind of removed from that once I had been there long enough that I was the CEO. And so I wanted to get back to that, really. And so it was a big leap to say goodbye to a company that I loved and a role that I had worked hard to get into. But I'm super happy with where things are now. Like I'm making whiskey. I'm back in a creative place, and I really love it.
I love it. I love that. So I'm going to crack open this one right here, because this was your guys' newest release.
Sure.
on social media. Tell me a little bit about this as I sip it. We'll go into our next Knicks, portion, and then I'll go based off of what I was able to taste on this one.
Right on. Absolutely. So this one was a fun project. So Sagamore, they're known for ryes. I wanted to basically make a rye that I felt was both distinctive, but also very well balanced and something that I think could reach into a bourbon drinker's palate. And so what I set out for with this rye was I wanted to bring out a little more sweetness. I wanted to turn down kind of a black pepper or like some of the harder finishes that you can get on ryes. And the way I approached that was, this is an 8-barrel blend. I created a base for it, which was 6 barrels. Half of those 6 barrels were low rye and half of those 6 barrels were high rye. And so low rye whiskey has a high corn content. So 44% of that barrel is corn, which brings it closer to a bourbon.
Yeah.
And so that's bringing in sweetness. It's bringing in some other fruit characteristics and creates this nice balanced base that's more sweet and less harsh. Then on that base of 6, I drop in 2 kind of special barrels that I think of as like enhancements or seasoning. And one of those barrels is a 13-year-old single barrel 95% rye. So that's bringing in some age and some complexity. It's bringing in a little more baking spice than was present in the base blend. And really just rounds it out nice, both on the nose and across the palate. And then the other thing that I'm bringing in is a double oak barrel. So this isn't something that probably, I don't know who's done this or not, but it's not something I'm commonly aware of. And I wanted to do something different. So rather than making it a double oak product, I just dropped 1 double oak barrel into the blend of 8. So it just puts a touch of it in there. And so that is it's a special double oak barrel because it actually double oaked for 8 years. It was a 2-year-old rye that then went into a brand new barrel for its next 8 years to become 10. And it brought in a real richness. So a lot of what you get that's unique in the nose of this came from that double oak barrel, and then the finish. So it honestly didn't do a ton to the palate, which was fine because I kind of liked the middle anyway. It was already bringing in like gingerbreads and baking spices, and it had some nice things going on there. But it made for a unique nose and a unique finish. And so that was kind of the design of it, was to like create a rye that was more approachable because it was a little more on the sweeter side it had more caramels, it had gingerbread flavors, it was less herbaceous. So a lot of ryes can go like dill, mint, even celery or licorice. This didn't really go that way. This went more into like gingerbread, some brown sugars, and then baking spices, and then finishes with that kind of sweet double oak wood finish.
Yeah. What's crazy is I was going to wait to do the tasting notes, but I'll do this before that. Is I was trying to figure it out because reading that it was a rye, I wasn't getting the mint and the earthiness. And for me, I love ryes, but when ryes lean too much on the mint that you lose everything else, I'm like, I don't like it. It's too much. You didn't know how to actually balance this out. This is just too mint forward. And those that go very dill, same thing. I'm like, I this is not for me. There's a certain brand that is very dill forward, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with anything you put out. It's just not my jam. But when I was having this, I was like, this is a rye, and I can taste some of the rye spice, but it's very in the background, like a background singer. It's not the main focus. And I was getting more of the toffees and the vanillas, and some of the creme brulee flavors that you love, that are hints and accents. But instead of them being hints and accents, they were the main star. and the pepper was in the background and stuff like that. But for me, once you said the double oaked, it made so much sense to me, because even though you said more so on the nose, I get that on that finish. Like, I get that oakiness, which you don't normally get in a rye. Like, I get that heavy in the finish. And that's actually like a beautiful highlight for me, is like the finish of the pour gives you flavors that you didn't have at the start of the pour, which is really, really unique, because some ryes can hit you in the face really up front with flavor and then die down really quick. And you're like, that was anticlimactic. But this is like, it developed over time. So this is an absolute banger. Like, great job.
Sounds so good. I sure wish I had some.
We're gonna get you some. I screwed up there. All right. So we're gonna go into the next pour, because I honestly think that this is a perfect transition. Because this is such a amazing pour that developed over time. And the player I want to have a segment on right now is the same kind of thing. He is a player that has a lot of complexity to him. And he developed as a New York Knick over time. And there were times where you weren't sure what's going to happen. But in the end, you end the season going, man, we would not be here without the development of this player. So before, you would hear things like, he's not tough enough. He's not consistent enough. He doesn't defend. He can't be he has not and will not ever be a playoff performer. He couldn't be the second best player if you actually want to be a championship team. He's not the guy that we thought he was going to be. But I think hands down, Cat has completely rewrote his playoff reputation with this run, because Cat finished with the highest. This is something Al wanted to make sure we highlighted. He finished with the highest plus minus, not as a Knick, not as this season, but in playoff history. So let me give you guys some numbers, and then let's talk about Cat. Finals production, 19.5 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, and in the entire playoff run, 10.6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, 55% shooting, 46% shooting from 3, 91% shooting from the free throw line. And before the final started, he was averaging 16.9 points per game, 71.3% true percent shooting. So one of the most efficient playoff runs by a big man in NBA history. And I think because we have Brunson and OG, that Cat's story can go unnoticed or be underrated, but I don't think it should, because Cat wasn't just scoring. Like, he forced Victor Wembanyama away from the rim. The guy that we even thought in the beginning of the season, even halfway through the season, maybe even 70% of the season, we saw as a defensive liability, figured it out and played elite defense in the playoffs. And he stretched the Spurs defense. He became one of the primary facilitators in Mike Brown's offense. All these things are different than the however many seasons we've known Cat. His game this year, 70% through the season, evolved into a player that we never saw him be before. And it was beautiful to watch. So what are your thoughts, Al, on Karl Anthony Towns?
One of the things that you didn't mention was he had 2 triple doubles in the playoffs.
That too.
Weren't they back to back?
Yeah, I think they were.
Triple doubles. Yeah. Like, that's something we didn't see coming. He went full Jokic, full Sabonis and Jokic. Like, dude was cooking. And, you know, the biggest turnaround that he really had was on the defensive end, because I had real concerns that about him and Jalen Brunson being able to coexist on the championship team because of their defensive shortcomings. And in many ways, it was more so, I was more worried about Cat's shortcomings, right? Because he's the center. He's, you know, the center is usually the anchor of your defense. And so, you know, I just didn't see that. I honestly did not see this turnaround in him. And it's got to be a lot of kudos to Mike Brown, because Cat is I think he's in his 10th year, if not his 11th, but some of the things that people used to always say, and I always said, is like, yo, he's been in the league 10 years. If he ain't figured it out yet, he ain't never figuring it out. Like, there's no way in the 10th year you're gonna all of a sudden become a defensive stalwart. And he did. I don't know how that came out of nowhere. Like, there's no way anyone expected that because he's in his 10th year. I can see if he was in his, like, third or fourth year, maybe fifth or sixth year, he's still developing. But like, for Cat to do that was crazy. I think it's just kudos to the coaching staff, the scheme, understanding his strengths and weaknesses and putting him in position to win and just getting everyone on the same page. But his turnaround was incredible. And without him, make no mistake about it, without him, we do not win. And by the way, I'm Dominican. That's my Dominican brother. I'm bringing my Dominican flag to the parade. Que lo que. Cat, the Dominicans are so proud of you. We're going to represent for you at the parade, baby. Thank you for bringing that trophy home for all the Dominican folks, man. Thank you. And he's a great dude. He is absolutely a great, great person. He's donating so much money in the Dominican. He's building different baseball fields, basketball courts, all that kind of stuff for underprivileged youth and all that. So, shout out to Cat, man. Good all-around guy and an amazing player.
You know what's crazy? I got to give you props because we all can go back. And any content creator who asks like they didn't do that, you're full of crap. There were times throughout this season that we were all like, did we make a huge mistake in trading for Karl Anthony Towns? Look at how big his contract is. Look at this. Look at that. But you have to give him kudos. You have to give the coaching staff kudos. They found a way to make it work. The evolution of a player is so important. And that's why I'm glad that James Dolan took the step that he did to bring in Mike Brown. Because what you saw with Karl Anthony Towns coming to New York last season was Tibbs used him the exact same way that Tibbs used him in Chicago. Like, it was no different. Like, no different than how he's ever used him. He used him the exact same way. There was no development of Karl Anthony Towns. And I know, like you said, sometimes you could be like, well, he's been in the league so long, he is who he is. Well, maybe if he's just considered that he is what he is, but if you find somebody that actually looks and say, there's more within you, let me bring it out of you, there's that potential. And we saw that. Like, we saw Mike Brown bring that out of him. We saw him push himself halfway through the season. We saw Jalen Brunson push himself to find a way to make it work. And what seemed like it was always going to be like a tag you're it, no you're it kind of offense became beautiful synergy between the New York Knicks, and now we are champions. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I mean, it's an about face to what we know Cat to be, or we thought Cat was, I'll say. You know what I mean? Because at this point, he's a champion. Like, he's completely changed how I view him. I was loud about how much I was disappointed with Cat, and rightfully so. I think, and I'm not gonna apologize for it because he knows he wasn't playing up to the level that he could play. The fact that he played so well in the playoffs is proof that he could play way better than what we were seeing him do. So I think, it's a testament to him, to his dedication to the team and what the team needed. I think he was willing to do whatever he had to do, but he had to know that he was going to be here. I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I'm working at a job and they're talking about getting rid of me, good luck getting 100% out of me. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just being honest, and that's just how it is. And that's just the human nature of it, because you don't want to give
one urinal gets clean, sucker.
I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, these people are really gonna think that I clean toilets all day. But it's he's made an about face, man, and I was disappointed, and I said it all the time. I said I'm tough on Cat because I know he can be way better than what he's showing us. I know he can. I know he can stop picking up silly fat, and that's what he did. The playoffs came around. He started doing everything like he knew how to play the entire year. Stopped picking up the silly fouls. Started playing extremely high quality defense, and that's the main thing that I had with Cat was just keep your hands up and play defense. Towards the end of the Spurs series, it seems like they kind of learned how to figure out his tendencies and use that against him. Also, he was guarding or being guarded by Wembanyama most of the time, and they're just not going to call anything on Wembanyama in this league. For as long as he's in this league, he's probably not going to get the calls he should get.
Yeah.
So you know that worked against Cat, but to start the series, man, that dude was an animal, and you know, for him to do it against Cat and to have those games that he had against, for him to do it against Wemby, and for him to do what he did against Wemby, it was just impressive. You know, he was aggressive. You know, he was willing to change. He was willing to sacrifice parts of his game so that the team could win, and that's what it takes in order for you to get to the top of the mountain. But you know, like I said, I was extremely loud about what I wanted to see from Cat, and we started to see it, and that's what got us here. Hopefully we don't see any more of the last game that we had of Cat. You know, that's something that I don't want the league to see and say, oh, you know, this is how we got to do, you know, defend or guard him or whatever. But you know, other than that, I think he did an amazing job. At least, even if he didn't score a lot, like that last game, him just being the decoy and being out there and doing what he had to do for the team, I think it did a lot for us. Us being able to have a 3-point threat from the center position and space the floor, because you saw it the moment they put Mitchell Robinson in the game, it was like Victor Wembanyama never stepped out ever again.
Yeah,
you know, and he stayed in the paint. So it just shows how important Cat is, and that, you know, I was frustrated with him with the fouls that he picked up in game 6 and game 5, because I'm like, listen, man, this is do or die. This might be it, you know. So I wish he was able to be more available for that game, but man, the Cat that showed up from March to June is who we made that trade for. That's exactly what we made the trade for. We didn't make the trade for the guy that we saw last year or the first half of this year. The guy that we saw from March to June is the guy that we know Cat can be. And now he has to keep up that level of play, you know, because he's already shown it to us. So I think it'll be detrimental to the team, especially people are still talking about trading him for like we didn't just win a championship a couple of days ago.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? It's just weird. You know what I mean? So and I'm like, listen, and I was the biggest proponent of, listen, let's go get Giannis until March hit, and then Cat was just like, listen, I'm sure the team wants me here now, so now you'll get my 100%.
Yeah,
and you saw
not even that. Like I feel like at a certain point, when you have a persona of who you're supposed to be as an NBA player, you know, like you're supposed to be this greatest big of all time when it comes to shooting the three at a high clip. And all of a sudden, that is your identity in the NBA. And you're not shooting the three at a high clip. That's going to mess with your MO. Like, it's going to mess with your mental, you know, like I am supposed to be this guy. This is who I'm known as the NBA. And you have two things that you can do in that. You can pivot and try to figure out who else you can be, or you can say, I'm no longer that guy. I'm nothing, you know? And I feel like in the first half of the season, Cat really struggled with his identity as a New York Knick. Like, I'm no longer that guy. I'm not shooting the three at a high clip. I'm a defensive liability. Like, and I think he got emotional. You know, I think he definitely got rocked up, you know, messed up with what he was feeling and thinking and going through. But he chose to do something different. And it was when him and Mike Brown were able to actually find an understanding of, let's go to the drawing board and figure out who Karl Anthony Towns is, not as a Minnesota Timberwolf, not as a Chicago Bull, but as a New York Knick in 2025 and 2026. And he found a way to adjust, and he made those changes, and he made those improvements. And so, yes, the Cat that we saw up until March, pack him up for Giannis. I would have packed his bags for him. But the Cat that we're seeing now, the new Cat, the new identity Cat, no, I don't want Giannis and his shaky knees. Like, I don't want that. Like, that's not something I'm willing to do, because I feel like this Cat, we can win. We can keep winning with Cat, this Cat. And so I'm ecstatic.
Can I add real quick? You know, I want to give him credit because he did, his game did kind of fall off towards the end of the series, but I think that was, I wouldn't say strategic. I think that was the Spurs realizing that they had to pick a poison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had to pick a poison. It was either we're going to die by 1,000 cuts with Jalen Brunson, you know what I mean? Or, it's Cat. And what they decided to do was, you know what? Let's let Cat let's guard him with a smaller guy. And, for some reason, it did kind of adjust to how he played. He wasn't able to attack the basket off of a dribble drive anymore because now you had Wemby helping off of that. So the moment Cat put the ball on the floor, Wemby steps over, he has to pass the ball, which is what they wanted to do because they realized Cat being as dominant as he was in those first 2 games is the reason why they could not win. And what he ended up doing was forcing them to change their game plan so that they had to listen. You know what? Let's just give it to Jalen. We can't double Jalen because if we double Jalen, that opens up opportunities for everyone else. So we have to put a body on Cat and keep a body on Cat. And what it did was it allowed them to guard Jalen one man. And I don't think there's one man in the NBA that can guard Jalen and stop him. And that's just what led to us getting that championship.
Yeah. All right. So we have a few other players we're going to go through. I know Apollo has to leave in 3 minutes. So I want to ask you this question that I'm going to ask Al and the panel at the end. Okay. When we talk to our future kids or future grandkids about this championship 20 years from now, what play are you talking about first? Are you talking about Brunson's MVP run and his crazy, stats in Game 5? Are you talking about the 29-point comeback? Are you talking about the OG tip-in? Are you talking about the moment that we all realized that this team was going to win the whole thing, or a different moment? What moment would you share with your grandkids or so forth 20 years from now when talking about this incredible New York Knicks run?
I mean, it's by far, it has to be my guy, OG Anunoby. It has to be, man. It's just the way he took. First of all, that was the game that we were down by 29. That was, to me, the game changer for that series. I think once we came down, and I said it plenty of times before that the Game 5 happened, I said it's going to be really hard for the Spurs to come back from a team that just came back 29 down and won that game. Their confidence is not going to be high at all at any point of this game because it doesn't matter what the lead is. When you have to play looking in the rearview mirror, you can't play the way you need to play. And that was OG's biggest game. Yes, Jalen Brunson hit some big shots in that game, especially that one over Wemby, which was huge. But OG Anunoby, that game alone was insane from him on a two-way level. He was at the peak. That was Kawhi Leonard that we were watching that game. And that tip-in at the end was just the icing on the cake. That's the play that will be played. There will be, like they said, they will be playing that play on NBA Finals clips for the rest of for NBA history. There's going to be that tip-in will be in every Finals montage that they have because it just was that was the final stamp on that game. That was the hammer that hit the nail. That was it. That solidified it. As well as Jalen Brunson played and everything that he did, if it wasn't for that tip-in at that last moment, OG Anunoby, he single-handedly changed the fortune of this team from the moment he got here. But that was just the cap to finish, to put the icing on the cake. So his career as a Knick so far, that has to be the biggest play of Knicks history in the past 2-3 decades, honestly.
I agree. Apollo, I appreciate you. I know you got to get going. Anything, let people know where they can find you, subscribe to what you're doing on Twitter and all that stuff.
Guard Up Knicks everywhere, man. Guard Up Knicks on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as well. That's where you'll find me, man. But that's all I got for tonight. Shout out to you, Al. Appreciate you, of course. Drew, thank you for coming and spreading some of your knowledge for the drink that we could not have today. You know what I mean? No fault of yours, of course. But I'm just busting your chops, Phil. But yeah, man. Salute to you guys, man. And we're NBA champions, bro. It's still
Right.
surreal. I still can't believe it.
I love it. Appreciate you, bro.
Let's go,
You have a good
champ.
night.
Salute, man. Later.
Good night, bro.
All right. So I appreciate the 170 of you guys that are still rocking with us right now. We're here with my guy, Drew from Silverthorn Reserve, which is absolutely delicious. And then we are going to talk in a second about this bottle right here, which is the first one that I got to try, which is this 13-year beauty right here. Look at the color of that. That's just absolutely sexy. And this is a 117 proofer. Before we go to that, thank you to everybody in the chat that showed up. My guy, Double A used to be at my morning show every single morning for like 2.5, 3 years. He's been doing his own thing with still Knicks fans. So shout out to Double A for being here. He used to call me the prophet because he was like, everything Phil says come to fruition. So I love having you in the chat right now, enjoying this season that we got to experience. It took you a whole season to show up, but I appreciate you, Double A. Miss you, bro. Shout out to Nick Yak. He said you guys were right. We did play Alvarado with Brunson game 4 and first half in the closeout game. Facts. I thought that would be a game changer, and it definitely would. Shout out again. Sadie Berry. Clutch wins. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. OG is getting better and better every year, but we don't get game 5 without Brunson. Facts. We're going to talk about OG in a second. But before we do, Drew, what is a whiskey pour that really made you go, man, this is probably one of my favorite pours that I've ever had? And I know that's huge because you've been in the industry for a long time, but what is like a whiskey pour that really wowed you, and maybe a pour that you're like, this is something that I always have to have on my shelf?
Oh, tough. So I think, before these current releases, I put out a 13-year-old single barrel bourbon. I only got 5 barrels of it, and it was very limited. And I did a lot of, I think, vetting to get that down. So I went through over 65 barrels and narrowed that down to these 5. And then within those 5, there was even one that just I love to this day. And so it was a 4-grain bourbon out of Georgia from a distillery that doesn't exist anymore. And they were called Ivy Mountain, and unfortunately they had to close during COVID. And their barrels were acquired, and then I acquired those barrels from the previous acquirer. And to me, it was just this gem. It's like kind of like treasure hunting when you're out here looking for, like, what I'm doing is very small, right? And so I don't need to find 100 barrels of something. If I find 3 to 5 of something special, like that's great for me.
Yeah.
But it can take a lot to find those 3 to 5. So after going through all of these barrels, at any rate, I fell in love with this one, and it ended up being the first barrel that I packaged and released. And it really just, it kind of, it had everything, right? So it was like, it was kind of like going on a journey just within one pour. So it had like a bit of a dustiness. It was only 13, but it kind of drank like it was like 16 or 17, like dark, complex, not high proof. It was only like 104 proof, but from a flavor perspective, it kind of had everything. Like you'd be drinking, you'd drink it right after the pour, and you'd kind of get some of these standard aged bourbon notes. Like there'd be some tobacco, there'd be some leather. It was delicious. And then you'd come back to it in a half an hour, and all of a sudden there was like blackberry or boysenberry, and like it like all of these layers would just start opening up, and it was, at any rate, I love that barrel. Like I'm sad that it's gone now. Like, but there's still a little of it floating around out in the world. But that was to me like one of my more interesting finds for sure. As far as something that I like from a daily drinker perspective, at least what like within what we're doing now, I'm very happy with like the bourbon blend that we came out with. And I don't know if you've tried that one yet or not, Phil, but it's to me, it's like an interesting play on that one right there. Totally. So this one's a very interesting play for me on what is it certainly still fits within the concept of a bourbon, but it's got some twists to it. So it has a little bit of that old Georgia bourbon in it. So one barrel that's in that blend is a 14-year-old 4-grain Georgia bourbon. And that's bringing in some it's only one barrel out of the 8 in the blend, but it still brings in a little bit of those age characteristics. Like you can get just like a touch of leather and tobacco. They're not predominant, but they're just like hanging out in the background. But then the other kind of unique thing to this blend is it has high malt bourbon in it. And this is a pretty rare mash bill that you don't see much of. And what it is it's only 51% corn. So it just barely qualifies as a bourbon.
Okay.
And then it's 15% rye. So it's still a pretty low rye content. But then it's got 34% malted barley in it.
That's pretty high. Yeah.
So very high barley content in that bourbon. And so I dropped 2 of those barrels into that blend, and that malt profile for me adds an enjoyable twist to the entire blend. You get a nice malt viscosity. It brings in some sugars, but also like really for me like where it finishes. It's in the nose and it's in the finish for me at least. And so this one to me is like a great, just like a nice, interesting pour that you can sit and just like ponder with on a daily basis. And it drinks pretty easy, but it still has like a lot of layers going on in there if you want to get into it.
Yeah. I had that one earlier in the show, and I was talking about how delicious it was because it was so unique and smooth. You know, like, and I say smooth because we joke with Apollo about it all the time. Instead of saying like, you know, it's exceptional or there's what, but it was just such an easy pour, but there was such complexity to it. And so I absolutely love that one as well. Like I was saying to the guys earlier, I haven't had a single thing that you guys have released that I have not enjoyed. So my question to you before we go into the next Knicks take is certain brands only purchase barrels from certain distilleries, use only certain cooperages so that they, you know, are coming with a certain flavor profile. Do you have a like distinct, I only go through these, or are you just like, you know what, this is my passion project. I'm going to do it from wherever I think is delicious, and I don't really care.
Yeah, it's way more the second one, right? So I am like part of doing this kind of smaller indie 8-barrel batches, kind of the role that I like, what I enjoy and what I want to offer customers is something distinctive. You know, there's large distilleries that also have good whiskey that can put out a lot of good whiskey that is very consistent, if not predictable. That's not really where I play. I'm trying to put a distinctive twist on things, and I like the kind of the treasure hunt aspect of it, right? So like with that rye that we had earlier, like that rye could have had dill in it. It could have had mint in it, but I went through all of the barrels and very specifically selected to create the profiles that I wanted that were slightly different than what people might expect.
I have a question on that process.
Yeah.
So when you're going to go look at or taste a barrel, Are these guys telling you like just like the mash bill that's in it and how long it's been in the barrel, or do they already have like some sort of idea of the flavor profiles that are in that juice?
So I don't buy anything that I don't taste first. So
No, I know
yeah.
you would obviously taste it,
Right,
but I'm
right,
saying like when you initially go make your trip to, whatever place to go taste the barrels, right?
Yeah.
Are they telling you, hey, I have something special here? It's, this is how long it's been sitting in the barrel. This is the mash bill. These are the notes. Or do they just give you like, a subset of that information that I just spewed out, and then you decide to go look at or taste it?
Yeah, it's more the second. So typically what I'll have is I'll have the mash bill, I'll have the age, I'll have its location, so I'll know where it aged.
Okay.
I'll know where it was distilled. I'll have the kind of the basic history of it. And then from there, it all comes down to the tasting. And so like
Yeah, you go
I'll
taste
go
it.
through, I'll taste every lot, and then once I make a selection, and let's say I buy 12 or 24 of something, then it comes to me, and then I go through every single barrel at that point, and then I'm scoring and grading and kind of
Gotcha.
Shifting barrels into different uses at that point.
I love that. I love that. All right. So before we go into my tasting notes of this beauty right here, I want to throw it to a few shout outs to the chat. Shout out to my pops. My pops is in the chat. What up, pops? First time I've seen him on the Knicks Nightcap. Typically he's probably asleep or something like that. So shout out to my pops for being in the chat. He said Drew's got some insights. Yes, he does. This is the whiskey genius right here. People always like give me more credit than I deserve on this show. That's why I bring the actual professionals in, those who actually make a killing doing what they do and making great whiskey for us. We got some insights right here from Double A. He said, had to come on here and salute my brother, rest of the gang. What a season. Then he said, I'd like to sub the available Dante to assume his spot because Shamit is injury prone. Finances are crazy though. Like we gotta talk numbers. That's where Fritz comes in. Fritz has to do all that. But also it's like, dang man, Shamit's got that heart. Shamit is one of those players that took us to a lot. Kessler to add to the rotation. It's like, where's that money come from? I understand the sentiments behind it. But next week, it's too early right now for us to talk about, what we got to do in the offseason. We're celebrating still. We're still enjoying the high that we're currently on, getting ready for that parade on Thursday. But maybe next week we'll talk about some potential what ifs for next season. But before I go into tasting notes on this next pour, Al, I want to throw it to you. We gave OG mad props, on the last episode. So we don't necessarily need to go into that because we know the contribution that he had. But I wanted to switch focus to a player that all of us on the channel beat up quite a bit throughout the season. And rightfully so. He deserved to get slapped around a little bit throughout the season because of his performance. But when it comes to playoffs, there are a few New York Knicks we have seen contribute the way that this guy has contributed in the playoffs the past 2 seasons. And I'm talking about Mikal Bridges. 56% field goal percentages, nearly 66 on 2-point shots, 92% free throw shooting, clutch moment after clutch moment. Game 2, it was essentially the Mikal Bridges game through and through. We needed him more than we can ever explain in that game. The NBA highlighted how clutch his shooting was as a major reason that we grabbed the 2-0 series. Mikal didn't have Brunson type headlines and he didn't have the iconic OG moment, but he constantly guarded multiple positions, hit huge shots, and became exactly what Leon Rose traded him for, which makes you go, forget them picks, and makes people like B celebrate because the love of her life delivered in the playoffs. So what are your thoughts on Mikal Bridges in this playoff run? Because it honestly erased all the errors of the season. Whenever you're reading something and you're reading a story and it's like this, but this, the but kind of erases everything that you read in that sentence before. because you know that what it's now saying is the important part. And I feel like that's what Mikal Bridges' playoff story is. It's like he did this. I can't stand him, but in the playoffs, and it makes you forget everything that really infuriated you through 82 games. So what are your thoughts on Mikal Bridges' playoff performance?
Yeah, he shot since game 6 against Atlanta. He scored 15.7 points per game on 66.7% true shooting. There's only 3 other non-bigs that have posted those stats in that stretch, in that like equally long stretch in the playoffs, and that's LeBron, Durant, and OG. So like the guy, he's not a volume shooter, right? So he's not going to give you, the 20, 30 point performances, but he's going to give you an efficient 15, 16, 18 points and play both sides of the ball. He's in those gaps, he's shooting those gaps, he's getting steals, his on ball defense this playoffs was incredible.
Yeah.
Last year he struggled a lot on ball. And this year, all of a sudden, he kind of picked it up. Again, kudos to the coaching staff, because there had to be some changes from the coaching staff for there to be such a big turnaround. So he was phenomenal. Another great two-way player that we have. Without him, we don't win the finals. I think he was one of the reasons we won game 2. I think he had the 26-point game or something like that in game 2. He was great in game 2. Without him, without the chemistry that he brings, because he's been teammates and won a championship with Josh and Jalen before, I don't think we get to the mountaintop. If that's a different player, right?
Yeah.
If that's another player that I said I would prefer to have was like what's the guy on the Pelicans? Let's say Dylan Brooks, right? And I love Dylan Brooks. I would love to have him. But like that role where you have to be the 4th player and you're not like the 4th option on offense, you're not getting those touches and you're still expected to be a 20-point scorer, and you're catching so much heat from the fan base all season long for 2 years straight. Like, that takes a lot of mental toughness that a lot of players probably would have folded under, to be honest with you, dude, because he was catching it real bad.
Oh, yeah.
And for him to show that mental toughness and power through and still have great performances in the playoffs is incredible. And like I said, if it was a different player, they probably would have crumbled and we don't win the championship. So he was absolutely the right guy to trade those 7 picks for. I never want to hear anyone mention picks to me ever again about Mikal Bridges. I've eaten crow on this myself. I'm not talking about it anymore. And I lost the bet to my boy Ra, and I got to go buy a Mikal Bridges jersey. So, and I am gladly going to buy it and wear it around the town.
Yeah. Like my dad said, when Bridges wasn't scoring, he was playing definitely playing defense. He had several steals, created turnovers. Yeah, he was the all-around player that you need in the playoffs. Yeah. And I'm never going to apologize for taking the kids' gloves off during the regular season. Because at the end of the day, you see players that rise to the occasion when, the New York Knicks fan base critiques, and then you see players that crumble. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle could not handle the critiques and the criticism that he got from the New York Knicks fan base.
That's true.
Mikal Bridges rose to the occasion. Like, at the end of the day, he said, I'm going to step up and be there when it matters. And at the end of the day, that's what we needed. He figured out his role. He figured out when was the time to step up, when was the time to play background. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. Like, it was absolutely beautiful to watch what he was able to contribute to this playoff run. And at the end of the day, it's like, 5 picks is a big thing. But when 5 picks are things that you don't know if they're going to come to fruition or not, what if we got a bunch of RJ Barretts, that we, got at
a bunch of Pacone Daddiers.
Yeah, a lot of Dadiers, like it just doesn't matter at the end of the day. They're not the player that we need to continue to build upon. And right now, honestly, I look at our bench and I'm like, we got Diawara, we got Kolick, that are still mad young in their career. What do we need new players to try to compete with them when those guys are still coming into their best, forms, and they're going to be the future for the New York Knicks. So I got nothing but love for Mikal Bridges in the playoffs. I don't take a single thing back that I said about him during the season because I think the critiques were warranted. One thing I'll say is, Ra, you cannot come at my boy Al about getting a Bridges jersey until I see you rocking that Mike Brown jersey. I'm going to say that on air. All right. You had nothing but hate for one of the greatest playoff run coaches of all time. He came in here and took the New York Knicks to their first championship in 53 years in his first year as a coach. So, Ra, I need to see that Mike Brown jersey on your back before I see that Mikal jersey on Al's back.
Hey, one thing I do want Mikal to work on this summer is his ball handling, because he kind of got exposed on that a little bit by the Spurs. So he definitely needs to work on that in the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's not a dribbler by any means of the word. Like it's rough to watch him try to create anything, but yeah.
And I hope Nick Yak said Pacone will be in the rotation next year. I hope so, man. I really hope so, because he has size that we sorely need, and he seems to be a good defender, and he seems to be able to shoot the ball too. Like, so hopefully he can put it all together and be in the rotation. That would be a blessing for the Knicks, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got to put in work this summer, because I do love his confidence to be able to shoot the shot. Like, he's not afraid to shoot, and I like that. But I don't like that some of those confident shots are air balls from the 3-point line. I'm not okay with that. So the confidence is good, but actually start making some of them a lot more frequently. But also, like, his height is there, but he's got to put on some muscle. He's got to put on some NBA muscle to be able to take that physical contact. Because it's great that you're tall and everything like that, but if you're getting bullied in the paint, it doesn't really help us in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully he puts in that work over the summer. I'm going to go into this next pour that I had right now, which is the 13-year. Already, Drew, like when you sent this the first time, I fell in love with this pour. Like, this was absolutely incredible. It's got all of the things that I love. Some of my favorite tasting notes, Al knows. If there's, leather or tobacco in it, I'm a huge fan. And the tobacco is definitely present in that pour. I'm also... I transformed, coffee as much as I loved it. I was completely addicted to it. 3-4 cups a day. Just started messing with my stomach. Just wasn't feeling good. So I was like, all right, I gotta pivot. And so I started drinking tea, and I've become really, really obsessed with good tea. And so I get black tea notes in this one as well, which I absolutely love. When you find those black tea notes in a good whiskey, it's delicious. I get some rye. I get some fig. Fig Newtons are my favorite, cracker, cookie type, whatever it is. It's hard to call whatever a Fig Newton is because it came in the same packages as Chips Ahoy's and Oreos, but it was a Newton. It was a cake. I had no clue what to call it, but it's got that Fig Newton vibe, which I absolutely love. And then it's got that mature oak. You can taste that 13-year, but in a good way. Some brands push their aging process too far and all you taste is the oak and it robs everything else. But this is the perfect symphony of that oak, that fig, that rye spice, that tobacco, that black tea. This is seriously
sounds like a winner.
This for me was when I first opened it, I was yo, this is seriously, it's hard for me to ever on my, Instagram reviews get past an 8.5, but this easily hit the 9. It easily hit that 9 Richter scale on a 9 out of 10 because it was just such a great pour. So tell me a little bit about this one before we start wrapping up and talking about what you guys are coming up with next and getting Al and Joe in the background, who's behind the scenes, final takes on this season.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, first of all, I love to hear that you liked it. I thought it was a special barrel. That's that's why I chose it for a single barrel rather than some other use. But yeah, for me, this one again, it hits on all of the it hits on the classic rye notes, but nothing for me in this one was too dominating. It had a lot of different things going on, and it kind of you can kind of walk through that journey with it and not have any flavor kind of blow out or dominate anything else. Like in this one, this is barrel 5, and it. For me, even like there was even a little bit of like a jammy red fruit that came into the middle there to kind of complement some of those darker like that the fig fruits and kind of date flavors that you have in there. But yeah, for me, it just like it had so many layers to it. Like it has the cinnamon that you would like to see in a rye. It's got rye bread on the nose, but then it's got the fruits, and then like to your point, it has that kind of rich, mature flavor that you get from that level of aging, where you start to get those leathers and tobaccos and kind of I would say darker oak versus light oak, but none of it overpowers. Like for me at least, it's not like well. I'm left only thinking about the oak in that finish because it was just like an oak bomb. It's not that at all. So for me, and that's what I look for in single barrels. I like typically I want them to kind of have their own standalone excellence, kind of tell a flavor story. So not be like one note, and then be balanced on the whole. So not too extreme in any way, like whether even like with proof point, with oak, with anything, like if any one part falls out of balance, I feel like it undermines what it could be, and I'll exclude it from being a single barrel.
Yeah, I love that. I think you picked a banger. Like it's seriously one of those ones that, like I said, every single person that I saw on my feed of content creators fell in love with that barrel, like fell in love with the 13 year. So if you could do us a favor, because I always want people to know, how they can support you guys, and maybe something to look for in the future. Like I just posted your guys' Instagram. I just posted where they can purchase it online, if they don't have it like in their area. But is there something that people can look forward to, like something you have in the pipeline right now, that we should all, get excited about?
Sure. No, I mean, first of all, I appreciate that. So yeah, we're like I said, we're a small indie operation at this point. We're just distributing in Maryland and Washington, D.C. That's the only places where we're in brick and mortar stores, and we're self-distributing in those territories. So beyond that, online is the route to go. We are in, I believe, 40 states can purchase online. So it's a lot of the country that can access our products through online. I think the things to look for right now. So like this, again, this is kind of our current lineup. Is we have that bourbon blend that you showed, the rye blend that we kind of tasted through together, that single barrel rye, and we also have a port finish rye. All of those are at least 10-year age statements, and they have older whiskey in them, but their age statements are 10. Then the rye is a 13-year single barrel. I think things to try of interest, that bourbon just came out of San Francisco. It's a finalist for best small batch bourbon in the US. So it did very well at San Francisco. It got a double gold. It got a 98-point rating. So it's one to check out for sure. And it is available on our website. And that rye blend also got a double gold and a 96-point rating. So these are two of our newest products. They're core products, and so far they're being well received.
That's awesome. Well, seriously, you are doing an amazing job, and I'm so thankful that you came on the show. I've been a huge fan of what you did while you were at Sagamore, and honestly, even more so with the stuff that I've tasted before and what we've tasted on this show. So thank you for being on the show. Like, it was seriously a privilege to have you. Where are you guys based out of?
I just looked it up. Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. That's right.
Okay, so you're still in Baltimore. Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna actually have to plan a visit because I was talking to Al during the Sagamore episode.
Yep.
His sister lives out in Delaware, and
Yep.
my mother-in-law lives in California, Maryland. So we're gonna go up there anyway. So we would love to come and like spend some time with you, create some content, and just kind of like experience what it's like, on what you're doing with Silverthorn, and kind of just like document the process and hang out, if that's cool with you.
Totally. Hit me up whenever you're coming down. We can head out to the barns, pull samples, blend stuff up, have fun. Totally. I'm into it.
And if the Knicks Nightcap, gets enough, sponsors, like to be able to do what we want to do and pick barrels, is that something that you're currently doing with groups to be able to like pick a Silverthorn release?
We're starting to. So
Okay.
we've done a couple of barrel picks locally. We've got a couple more in Maryland that we're doing. I really wanted to kind of get these initial blends and products and things that I've been working on really nailed.
Yeah.
And then now layer on a barrel program on top of that foundation. So we're getting to that now. We'll be doing more of it in the second half of the year, and even more of it in 2027.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, you can count us in. Once we figure all this out, we definitely need a Silverthorn release. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Drew. I appreciate you so much. We'll keep in touch.
Right on.
Thank you so much for your time, Drew.
I appreciate it. Good to meet you, Al.
Nice to
Have
meet
a
you
good
too,
one.
Drew. Take care.
God bless you.
Take
All
care.
right. Bye. All right. That was incredible.
That was awesome.
Like, seriously,
That was awesome.
Drew is awesome. All right. I'm going to bring Joe up for this last segment, and then we're going to call it a night before it gets too late. So we got Joe up in the building.
I got to say something, man. Like,
Yo.
my fault, Joe, real quick. That this is not the first time we've had a CEO of one of these companies up here. And I just want to just impress upon our viewers, like, how amazing that is. Like, to have these guys come up here and talk to us, share their wealth of knowledge. It's just incredible. This is one of my favorite parts of the show, like getting to talk to these cool people. Like, getting to talk to cool people is awesome. So I don't know if like people recognize that, but like, man, that's dope. That's really dope.
I appreciate you pointing that out. Because I know that there's some people that are not whiskey fans in the group, and I understand that, and I appreciate the love and the support, but like, these aren't just like random people that
it's bigger than that. Yeah.
It's not random people that I can just like hit up on Google, like, this is something that, like, in my other life as a whiskey content creator, I've spent years trying to get my voice heard as someone that like knows and understands whiskey, and someone that appreciates it and built a platform over there. And so they're believing in our Knicks show, believing in the Knicks community, even though they have no attachment to the Knicks, because they believe in me on the other thing and believe that this show is worth investing in. So this is time that they are giving of their time. They give us these bottles for free. Some of these bottles that we've had on the show cost up to $300 per bottle, and they're sending them to us just to talk to us, so shout out to them, and shout out to you for like pointing that out. Cause like, I don't ever want to point that out, but I appreciate that you did.
One of the other things that what I'm really trying to impress upon our viewers, especially the ones that don't really care about bourbon, is when you listen to these conversations with a CEO of a company, like, it transcends bourbon. This guy's talking about how he built something from nothing, and you can take that and apply it to your life. You can erase all the bourbon that he's talking about and just listen to how he built something, right? How he went from this doing beer to doing this. Like you can take all of those things and apply it to your life as well. It doesn't have to be about bourbon. So that's what I'm trying to like get our crowd to connect with, right? Even if they're not bourbon drinkers, we have CEOs coming up here and explaining to y'all like how to do business, how to grow something. Like those are dope conversations that you could apply to whatever you want to do in your life, whatever you're trying to build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like, at the end of the day, we all are aspiring to do something, whether it's
Exactly.
content creation, whether it's building a car business or building a photo business or whatever. These guys are saying, like, hey, this is the risk I took. Like Drew's saying, I left something that was comfortable. I built a great brand and I realized that, like, I wanted something more. I wanted something that was more me than it was big name, and he came up here and shared his wealth of knowledge, with everybody. That's a free business course within a Knicks, within a Knicks episode.
That's a fact, bro.
So I love that. I love that point. But let's start wrapping it up with this. All right. I want to talk to you guys about the end of the, series. Yes, there's the potential for dynasty. There's the potential for this. There's a potential for that. And I think next week we will round up the season because we have one more episode next week with my guy, Brett from Barrel. They're coming back and we're doing a blacktop only release. And for those of y'all who don't understand what that means, like we had such a good time with Barrel the first time that they were on that they offered and are willing to do a blacktop only release. And that means that it's all their rarest whiskey. Like it's all of the most limited stuff that you can get. They have tons of different variations, but the top of what you get is the black label. And these things do not come cheap. These things are not to be ignored. These are bottles that start at, I believe, $199 a piece and up. And so they are sending us 4 releases to do a blacktop only release to celebrate this New York Knicks championship. So shout out to Barrel for being the final episode of the season. This will be one of those episodes where we do talk about, okay, now we're here. What are our speculations for next year? We're not going to do that now. A lot of people ask some questions in the comments and I appreciate them, but we are going to wait until that next episode. We're going to just enjoy this right now, enjoy getting ready for the parade for those of us that are going and all that stuff. But next week, as we drink, $200 whiskey, so that's 4 bottles, $800 worth of whiskey, we will talk about potential things in the off season. But what I want to ask you guys and everybody in the chat is what I asked Apollo earlier. The New York Knicks, the most historic run ever. And we got to experience it. When Al is talking to his beautiful daughter in 20 years, because she was there, but she was sleeping for most of it. Like
yeah.
Cooper, everybody yelling. In 20 years, what is the moment that you talk to her about when you talk about this historic run? Is it the Brunson's MVP run and his crazy game 5 stats? Is it the 29-point comeback? Is it focused on the OG tip-in, which seriously changed the trajectory of the thing and made us go up, instead of being tied in a series with this team, which could have completely changed the whole path? Is it the moment where you realize that this team was actually winning the whole thing in the 4th quarter of game 5? Or is it another moment? What is the moment that you guys in the chat and you, Joe and Al, are going to share with those that did not experience this moment? And since you're a guest in the house, Joe, I'll let you go first. What is that defining moment that you would like to share with others about this season?
But first, I just want to give you guys a salute. Thanks for having me on the panel, and salute to Drew, man. To be a CEO and just to have all that, and then just to start your own brand, man. I think that's really special. So salute to him, man. And but thanks for having me on, guys. I mean, when it comes to this season, man, I really think the most special thing that you can talk about is the resiliency, right? because, every game that we're playing in these finals, man, we were down. We were down double digit points. Like, I think it was 16 points one game, 29 points another game, 22 points another game. Like, we had the resiliency to like not give up and make our comebacks, And yeah, the OG play goes into that, but I just feel like it was in our team's DNA to never stop fighting, like to keep chipping away, to keep fighting when there was all this adversity. Like, even Brunson, man, so many people were telling him all year, like, he couldn't do it. He was too small. He wasn't a 1A. And he showed so many people that they were wrong, man. And that's special in itself. And I just think that goes into the whole resiliency thing of the team where, we can be down 20 points and we're not going to fold. I've seen other teams in the past, even with Tom Thibodeau, man, if we were down 20 points, I don't know. I mean, we could make a comeback. But, man, with Mike Brown as the coach, the head of the snake, you got to give salutes to Mike Brown. Like, I was killing Tibbs because he wouldn't make adjustments. He wouldn't play our guys off the bench. And to have guys like Shamit and Huck Porty and these dudes coming off the bench to really help us when we needed it, man, that speaks volumes for this team and to just the organization in general. So if I'm going to talk about this team, 30 years from now, man, I'm just going to say this team had fight, man. This team had grit. This team never gave up. And that's what it took to win a championship.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Al, what are your thoughts on those moments?
Shout out to you, Joe.
Salute.
Yo, Joe, I just want to say to Joe, you got every time I see you, you got a different name now. You were Joe from AC.
And you was the logo and everything, bro.
Yeah, optimistic Knicks fan. Now you real time Knicks with a whole logo. I do like it though. It's a dope logo.
I'm just gonna say one thing. Those other brands, those are just leading up to this. This is the main brand. I'm sticking with this one, so you won't see any more changes.
All right, I like this one. This one's fire. Looks great.
That joint is dope. One of the things that sticks out to me in this championship run is seizing the opportunity, grabbing life by the horns. When you get to a certain place, like when you get that opportunity, you can't spoil it because you don't know when's the next time you're going to be there. And I can't help but think about, there's a lot of people that aren't here to watch the Knicks win the championship. I know Joe lost his grandmother along the way. I know we have members of the Knicks community that have lost loved ones. 53-year drought. So these Knicks, they got to the finals, and then they made sure that they won the finals. They went 16-3. They had a 22-point deficit against the Cavs, and then a 29-point deficit against the Spurs in the finals. And they said, no way, we're not losing this. And so those are the things that I'm going to hold as life lessons for my daughter. I'm definitely going to show her. I'm definitely going to talk to her about 16-3 and that dominance, but I'm definitely going to show her that 29-point game and, try to instill in her, never quit attitude. Always keep fighting, and you're never out. You're never out of it, right? No matter how much the odds are stacked against you. If you work hard and you keep chipping away, you can win it. You can do big things, and you can achieve greatness. But those are the messages that I'm going to give my daughter.
I love that. My dad said, I will share that they had exactly what the 1970 and 1973 team had. A unity like no other. Complete unit starting and bench. And I think that's awesome because you look at Clyde Walt Frazier, and the thing he always talked about was how him and Willis Reed didn't care about the recognition. They just cared about winning together. And I agree. That's what we saw with Brunson and with Kat and OG and McHale and Jose and Hart. And so before I give my take, I don't want to end this season without sharing this. You talked about how we've lost a lot of people. There's someone in the Knicks community. There's a few that we lost, but one that was close to my heart, and a lot of people on Knicks Twitter. She was a diehard at all the games, had all the merch. As soon as we released something on our old network, she hit us up. Hey, can I get a custom size for me in women's fit? Like, she just loved supporting the Knicks and loved supporting the community. And the first time we actually met in person, there were some people on Knicks Twitter that were really being disrespectful to women and stuff like that. And they were going to be at this thing that I was going to meet her at. And she's like, I really can't go there. Those guys are there. And I was like, I understand. Where do you want to meet? Like, da 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 da. I have to be there for this. And she's like, you know what? Screw it. They're not going to ruin my opportunity to like hang out with someone that I really, really love. And so she came out and she hung out. And she passed away earlier this year. And her biggest desire in life was to see a Knicks championship. And ever since she passed, we all had the motto, do this for E, do this for her. And so I had her husband, Jesus, send me some photos because I wanted to make sure we paid tribute to her. Because I do believe that these Knicks, they fought for the people like this. They fought for the people that really love New York and really love New York Knicks. And E would be so happy with what we were able to witness.
Nice.
And so I want to tribute this to E and tribute this whole episode to her, because she was a beacon of light in the New York Knicks community. So E, we love you. We miss you. This was for you. And I know Jesus is enjoying it, but he would have enjoyed it so much more if his wifey was here. And we would all have enjoyed it so much more seeing you in the chat, hearing you in the spaces, having to bleep you out with some of your excitement on a kid's show. But everything was New York Knicks to you. That was the shirt that she bought exclusively from us as
That's
a
dope.
woman's fit. It was a 1 of 1 for her.
That's
And
dope.
she just always loved the New York Knicks and supporting the Knicks. So shout out to E. We miss you. We love you. We raise this in the rafters in your honor. The Knicks might not, but all of us fans who knew you do. So in closing, I'll say for me, which kind of goes hand in hand in that everybody is incremental mindset. It is the OG moment. And the reason it was the OG moment is because it showed that no matter what, we were not willing to quit. There are so many other players in this league that ball would have just fallen. That ball would have just fallen on the court. It would have been a next game mentality. But OG Anunoby flew like an angel to get that basket. Had the basketball IQ and knowledge to say, I thought I was going to dunk it, realized I wasn't going to make it, so I gently tipped it in. And he didn't get the MVP. Some could argue that he deserved it as one of the greatest two-way performances of, a wing in NBA history.
Facts.
Yet the joy you see in OG's face in every interview. I've seen more smiles in OG Anunoby in the post games and all his interviews. He was even rapping at a bar the other night. All those things for a guy that did not get the MVP that maybe he deserved. But it wasn't about that for him. It was about leaving it all out there as a New York Knick. And OG did that. So to me, that's one of the greatest plays in NBA history for me. And so I'll close with this video of him rapping and then my Nabra pick. And then we will call it a night. So here is the OG Anunoby getting his shine on, when it comes to
I haven't seen this. Yeah, I've never seen him have so much fun.
I've never seen that in OG. I've never seen him crack smiles like that. The joy that he brought onto onto Clarkson and Towns' face was insane.
Yeah.
So I will close with this, and then we will call it a night. This is my run that back moment of the postseason because it's hilarious and just shows what this New York Knicks team is like. thank you to the over 192 of you that are still rocking with us. Please, if you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Our channel has exceeded the 10,000 mark. We are now at 10,026 after the end of this episode. So we went from 10,000 and like 30 minutes before we went live to 10,026. So thank you guys so much. But this is my run that back moment, and then we will close and see you guys next week. So here we go. So just seeing the camaraderie between the coach and the players and just hearing all of those great things is just incredible. You know, I absolutely love it. The vibes are incredible. The one thing I'll throw out there, guys, we'll see what happens here. So shout out to my dad. He said, great show, guys. Enjoyed it. Have a great night. Love you, Pops. Is it was released that Leon Rose was actually completely devastated that he had to trade Dante DiVincenzo, that it actually ruffled his feathers, and he was completely devastated because he wanted to build a team that had Dante a part of it. But that Minnesota refused to do the trade if Dante wasn't in it. And that he had to make a rough decision that he did not want to make.
Dang.
So all I'll say is, let's see what happens this offseason, guys. You know, the only offseason I'll say is, big ragu, huh? Let's see how it goes. He is injured, but maybe that goes in our favor to bring him back. So let's see what it goes. Al, let everybody know where they can follow and support you, and we'll call it a night.
Yo, at Al from Harlem on Instagram and Twitter. That's where you'll see me be most active. Instagram has really been taking off, so that's where I've been focusing a little bit more. And then you can find me on the Nick of Time, man. I'm on multiple shows here. I'm on the Knicks Nightcap. Then I also have Nick Life Crisis, and then I also pop in on the other shows too. So you can find me here on the network and Instagram and Twitter. Hit me up, man. I love engaging with you guys and getting your takes. So looking forward to connecting the rest of the summer and vibing out with you guys as champions. And if you're going to the parade, hit me up. Let's link.
Let's go. I love it. All right, Joe, let everybody know where they can follow you now. Since it's different.
Well, yeah, I had the most optimistic Knicks fan before, but now I'm thinking, now that we won a championship, man, and we've been on here calling all this in real time, man. I'm just like, it's time for a little brand upgrade. So I'm swinging it over to the Real Time Knicks, man. That's where you guys can find me out on YouTube. I got the daily shorts coming out. So, just hit me up on there, man. Things are doing really well. So
that's awesome.
I'd like to show you guys what I got.
YouTube name now? The Real Time Knicks?
Yeah. Real Time Knicks. Yeah, man.
You just changed the other one, right? You didn't. I don't gotta go refollow or what?
No. It's just a rebrand.
Okay, so I'm already subscribed. Good.
Yeah, I'm already subscribed. Yeah.
All right, bro. Word. Well, we appreciate you, bro. And like always,
let's go. Champ. We are the champions.
No more bro.
My friend.
No more bro.
Yeah, right. No more bro.
I appreciate you, champ. So
there you go.
All the champs in the building. I appreciate you guys for rocking with us. The over 192 of you that are still here. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, retweet it. If you're going to be at the parade, hit up my boy Al. If you want me to be at the parade and you got airline points, holla at your boy, bro. Like, seriously, holla at me. I'll get you a free t-shirt, a free drink, whatever you need. You let me know. But appreciate all of you guys. Seriously, thank you so much to Silverthorn Whiskey, Silverthorn Reserve for joining us tonight. Appreciate our wives for all the support that they've shown to us this year, allowing us to be on these shows till 11:15 at night. Appreciate you guys all so much. And we will be back next week for the final episode of the season before we figure out what kind of summer content we're all going to make. So come and join us next week. I believe it is on Thursday next week. Yeah, so Thursday the 25th, we'll be rocking. So please, actually, no, it might be. I'll confirm. It's gonna be Wednesday or Thursday. I gotta confirm with Beryl. But we'll figure that out. I'm actually gonna look at the text message right here so I can give you guys the for sure what day it is, because I was talking to him earlier. whatever. Just look for the image. Appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, God bless. If you drank, drink responsibly. We never want you guys getting behind the wheel. That's reckless. That's ridiculous. And we need you. Like, we want to celebrate next year's victory with you guys, but you have to be here and able to do that. So please follow, subscribe. We love you guys. And until next time, God bless.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they